at wordradio.com.
The Word Digital Tip of the Week is brought to you by Comcast NBC Universal.
You may be eligible for up to $800 to pay your PECO electric or natural gas bill through the LIHEAP Crisis Recovery Program. But you must act fast. The program closes on August 31st. If you need help paying your utility bill due to the COVID-19 public health crisis, visit PECO.com/LIHEAP or call the PECO LIHEAP hotline at 1-800-34-HELP-4.
Seniors, does your doctor regularly reach out to check on you? Can you walk into your doctor's office and see them if you need to? Do you have your doctor's cell phone number and can you call them anytime, day or night? At Dedicated Senior Medical Center, their only specialty is caring for seniors. Dedicated makes it easy to get the primary care you deserve. Doctors spend more time with patients than the doctors you may be used to. They offer telehealth visits, help you get your medications, and even make sure you get to your appointments. If your doctor isn't treating you like family, it's time to say yes to Dedicated Senior Medical Center. Call Dedicated Senior Medical Center today to schedule a visit and find out what you're missing. Call 267-443-1900. That's 267-443-1900. Appointments are available now.
Home of the Happy Hour. With Sincerely Sarita. This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Streaming live at wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app.
The views and opinions expressed by the guests, listeners, and hosts of any program on Word Radio do not necessarily reflect those of ownership, management, or advertisers of this station.
You're listening to The Source, an eclectic arrangement of diverse, powerful voices tackling the issues that affect us all. So let's get started with The Source.
Hey, 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 welcome, welcome, welcome. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WordRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is a number to call in. I am your host for today, Andrea Lawful Sanders. You get a triple dose of me each week now. I am on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays every week for the foreseeable future until things change, but that's what you're going to get. So welcome, y'all. It is 1:08. It is 88 degrees outside, and Marva has a ton of stuff to share with you today. As always, we have hot shows, so I just need to let you know. Oh, somebody sent something there. I want to start off by telling you that I almost had to call in from my home today for the radio show because I had a doctor's appointment at 11:30. And when I got there, regular checkup. When I got there, they told me she was a little bit behind schedule. So I said, all right, I'm just going to go. I'll catch you later. She calls me, tells me to come back. I go in. From the first time I met Dr. Renelle Dupree, and I told her that I was going to talk about her today, was August of last year. So it's been a year. And when she took my blood pressure, she almost sent me to the hospital. She said, Andrea, your blood pressure is extremely high, and there's something going on with you. I said, I know. That's why I'm here. And we did some tests, and then she found out that I was diabetic. And so she told me, I said, what I need to do. She told me, I went into action. When I walked into Dr. Pre's office this morning, I was almost 40 pounds lighter than when I first saw her in August of 2019. She and I looked at each other and we had tears in our eyes, right? But even more importantly, my blood pressure was normal for the first time in over 2 decades. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? So I have to constantly shift my clothes. I'm trying to figure this out, but I finally figured out what to do. It's a changing of the diet, but it's also exercising because I did 26 miles. I rode from Philadelphia to Valley Forge today. I'm probably going to do it 2 or 3 more times this week, right? And I'm hiking like 7, 8, 9 miles, twice a week to make sure that I'm climbing steep hills so that I can keep my muscular tone. So it's not just about the cardio, that it's about the muscular tone. And so she looked at me as I was walking out the door and she said to me, listen to me. What happens to us isn't normally about us. It's about the fact that we can help other people. And she said, you have done what most people were not able to do. Within 3 months, I turned my diabetic thing around. I go to get some more blood work done tomorrow. So I'll let you all know what my A1C is since I got you all in my business any old kind of way, right? But I just want to let you all know, a diabetes diagnosis is not a death sentence if you do what you're supposed to do. If you don't do what you're supposed to do, because it takes so long for you to feel the side effects of it, and by the time you feel it, it is too late. You start going blind, you're losing your limbs, all sorts of horrible things are happening, and you would need kidney dialysis centers are all around Philadelphia and across America filled with black people, right? And it simply means that we have to do a little bit differently. So as someone who is always in the public eye, I decided that I had to do and be better. So I am hoping that my having this conversation with you will help a lot of people to realize that you don't have to say, oh, and by the way, I'm no longer on the medication, right? So you don't have to sit on the medicine. You just have to do a little bit of shifting. I am someone who does not take well to just sitting in mediocrity. In fact, I don't embrace mediocrity at all. And so to be able to lose 40 pounds and to get my blood pressure back to normal and to not be on the diabetic medication, the metformin, is a beautiful thing. Come join me. Come walk with me. Come cycle with me. I don't expect you to do 26 miles, but Mike is shaking his head and going, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing 26 miles. But, walk with me. We can do a 6-mile hike in the Wissahickon Park, just to get your body moving so we can start to talk about how we can make things better, right? The other thing I want to talk to you about, the Republican National Convention started last night. I went to bed. I turned on my meditation music and I took my little self right on off to sleep. But of course, my husband was watching it. And this morning, despite everything that I've not asked for, he turns on the news while I'm having breakfast, and I see someone from NBC interviewing 4 women from suburbia, and they were talking about the upcoming elections, and these 3 of them were white, 1 of them was black. The white women said, 4 years ago they voted for the president that we have now, and now they're not so sure. And then one woman said, but I'm a little bit concerned because I like Biden, but then he has a woman on the ticket that is not African American because her parents are Jamaican and East Indian. And I took a deep breath. I looked at my husband and I said, I'm getting up from here. So I went and I got the history of Jamaica so that you all can understand. But let me clear something up for you. Kamala Harris is an African American who was born to immigrant parents. One of those immigrant parents are black. Her father's Jamaican and he is black. And for some reason, I keep getting phone calls from media people, my media friends who say they constantly have this conversation that Jamaicans are not black. So I'm going to break it down to the lowest common denominator so that we never have to have this conversation again. And if anybody wants to talk to me about it, feel free to come hang out with Mother, okay? The original inhabitants of Jamaica are believed to be the Arawak Indians, also called the Tainos. They came from South America 2,500 years ago and named the island Yamaka, which meant land of wood and water. The Arawaks were a mild and simple people by nature. Physically, they were light brown in color, short and well-shaped with coarse black hair. Their faces were broad and their noses flat. They grew cassava, sweet potatoes, corn, fruits, vegetables, cotton, and tobacco. But they built their villages all over the island, but most of them settled on the coast and the near rivers as they fished to get food. Fish was also a major part of their diet. The Arawaks led quiet and peaceful lives until they were destroyed by the Spaniards some years after Christopher Columbus discovered the island in 1494. Sounds familiar, people? On May 5th, 1494, Christopher Columbus, a European explorer who sailed west to get to the West Indies and came upon the region now called the West Indies, landed in Jamaica. This occurred on his second voyage to the West Indies. Columbus had heard about Jamaica, then called Yamaka, from the Cubans, who described it as the land of blessed gold. Columbus was soon to find out there was no gold in Jamaica. On arrival in St. Anne's Bay, Columbus found the Arawak Indians inhabiting the island. Initially, Columbus thought these Indians were hostile as they attacked his men when they tried to land on the island. As he was determined to annex the island in the name of the King and Queen of Spain, he was not deterred. Columbus also needed wood and water and a chance to repair his vessels. He sailed down the coast and docked at Discovery Bay. So, the Spaniards, when they came, tortured and killed the Arawaks to get their land. They were so overworked and ill-treated that within a short time, they all died. The process was aided by the introduction of European diseases to which the Arawaks had little or no resistance. Pay attention, people. The island remained poor under Spanish rule as new Spaniards settled there. Jamaica served mainly as a supply base. Food, men, arms, and horse were shipped here to help in conquering the American mainland. 15 years later, in 1509, after their first visit to the island, the first Spanish colonists came here under the Spanish governor, Juan de Escobar. They then settled in the St. Anne's Bay area, the first town now called New Civil or Civil de la Nueva. The little attention the colony received from Spain soon led to a major reason for internal strife. So what happened was the Spaniards brought slaves to Jamaica, because that's how we got there, the slaves, right? And then the British came and took over from the Spaniards. And so let me just share with you how the slaves got there. The English settlers concerned themselves with growing crops that could easily be sold in England. Tobacco, indigo, and cocoa soon gave way to sugar, which became the main crop of the island, and it is still one of the main crops today. The sugar industry grew so rapidly that the 57 sugar estates in the island in 1673 grew to nearly 430 by 1739. Enslaved Africans filled the large labor force required for the industry. The colonists were impressed with the performance and endurance of the Africans, as well as the fact that African labor was cheaper and more promising. And so the slave trade became popular and a profitable venture for the colonists. In fact, the transportation of slaves became such a regular affair that the journey from Africa to the West Indies became known as the Middle Passage. The voyage was so named because the journey of a British slaver was a three-sided starting from England with trade goods to Africa, where they were exchanged for slaves. Now, let me explain something to you about Jamaica that a lot of people are not aware. Some of the slaves were dropped there for goods and to make sure that we were able to get the sugar cane, the plantations going. But another historic part about Jamaica is that they sent the slaves that they could not handle. The slaves that they could not manage on the boat were dropped there so they could be brought under subjection. Unfortunately for them, when the Spaniards were taken over by the British, a group called the Maroons, led by Nanny, a black woman, took them up into the mountains and took out just about every British soldier for years and years and years on end. They were never able to tame those slaves, right? A similar rebellion was going on in Haiti. Haiti had the first one, actually, and then Jamaica just kept fighting until they became independent some 58 years ago, I believe. This year is the 58th year of our independence. Please, for the love of God, stop saying that Jamaicans are not black people. We are black. Our coat of arms says out of many, one people. Yes, in Jamaica, we have Indians, we have Chinese Jamaicans, we have white Jamaicans, but for the majority of the group of us, we were born black, raised black. Now, when we come to the United States to live, we identify with our culture as Jamaicans, but we also consider ourselves to be black people. If you listen to a Jamaican, if a Jamaican or somebody from the islands come to you, look as dark as I am, with any touch of black in themselves, and tell you that they're not black, run them away. Okay? I don't know what that is. That's some sort of hatred for their skin and their color and wherever they're coming from. But we are black people. Kamala Harris is a black woman. Kamala Harris was born and raised in these United States of America. She is an African-American woman who was born to immigrant parents. Did we get that clear? I don't want to have this conversation again, because I am sick and tired of people saying it over and over and over again. Jamaicans, it's a culture. We speak Patois, we speak several different languages, but we are black people. Don't ever mistake us and say that. So what I am believing now is that the messaging that's being hidden in the she's not African American is we really don't want a woman. We're still not ready for a woman to be president of the United States, and she's getting really close. So we have to watch now and make sure that people are actually voting, right? And we can't win an election by a small margin based on what we have seen happening. I watched my Facebook feed yesterday and saw tons of people going on and on about the madness that was going on in the RNC. But if you understand that there is messaging there for a certain base, why are we riding ourselves up about it? We need to get together and figure out what is going on. I'm not going to talk about Jamaica and Kamala Harris again. She's quarter Jamaican, quarter West East Indian, and she's a black woman, right? Father is black. Smart as hell, too, economics professor. So, Woody, line one. I'm going to take you quickly, Woody, because I'm going to go to break.
My sister, you're moving, and I'm
Listen.
You're educating us, and you're losing weight. I didn't know you were a diabetic, but
yes.
Evidently you're not a diabetic.
Not anymore.
That's the beauty of following the rules.
Yep.
You follow the way, you don't make mistakes.
Yep.
Learn the way, and you'll be okay.
Yep.
Remember that one. I'll leave that one for you. Learn the way, and you'll be okay.
Yes.
Anyway, listen, I'm in agreement with you that there's nobody on the planet that's not black. Everybody's from Africa. What the problem is that we're not facing is chattel slavery. Chattel slavery in America did not happen to anyone else other than the children of the former slaves living in America today. That's why, as non-immigrants of this nation, we're identifying a pain and a suffering that no one else has been through. Even your indentured slaves, they could buy their way once they paid their debt. But a chattel slave was never to be free. We were never supposed to ever be free because we weren't looked at as human beings. So if you're battling about who's black or white, we were battling about who was a human being.
I hear you, Woody, and so this is why this platform is so important to me, right? Because I'm not using it to just run off at the lips. Like this was an easy Google for people to look at, right? Mm-hmm. And what I don't want people to get into their heads and start to make a big production out of is whether Jamaicans are black, Africans are black, Africa, because what they're doing is trying to separate us. We're black people. We black. We blackity black.
That's right.
All day and sometimes on Sundays.
You that because you are a person who has a great education. Remember, I'm not African American. African American comes over here freely with a good 1 to 12th grade education, takes advantage of the colleges, and does very well. That's why that office is so very important. The office for non-immigrants, the chattel slave. This would explain that what you just said today. All of that information needs to be in that office so that all the other cultures from all over the world can come and understand what happened to the children of the former slaves living in America today that were the non-immigrants. Everybody is black. Like I said, Jamaicans black, Haitians black, Africans are black. But it's the culture in which we had to go through as animal, part human. Not even your vote was worth a whole vote. It was only 3/5. We got to understand that's damaging human beings. Malcolm made it clear. This is not a civil rights issue. Malcolm X.
Yeah,
this is not a civil rights issue. This is a human rights issue.
Well, Woody, hold on, because I got to take a quick break. So I know you want to roll. Hold on, Woody. Let me The time is 1:21 p.m. and the temperature is 88 degrees. It's brought to you from the Beach Companies with 30 years of serving our community. Check out our website for the free Black Business Directory and our Community Resources Directory. I have to go to break, but let me read this small part to you. It says the slaves were unhappy with their status, so they rebelled whenever they could. Slave rebellions stand out in Jamaica's history, for example, the Easter Rebellion of 1760 led by Tacky, and the Christmas Rebellion of 1831, which began on the Kensington Estate in St. James, led by Sam Sharp, another one of our national heroes. He has since been named a national hero. The Maroons also had several wars against the English. In 1739 and 1740, after two major Maroon wars, treaties were signed with the British. And so, the frequent slave rebellions in the Caribbean was one factor that led to the abolition of the slave trade and slavery. We were not playing all day, every day. We are black people, y'all. Stop it. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WordRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Weather and traffic to keep you informed for your drive home.
In the happy hour
With Sincerely Sarita.
Monday through Thursday, 4 till 7 p.m.
Right here
on Word Radio, 96.1 FM.
and 900 AM WURD. Want the latest in word swag?
Check out the shop tab on wordradio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on wordradio.com. Show the world that you're all about black.
Talk media.
We will never know how many of our friends and family members didn't get COVID-19 because we followed safeguards. We'll never know that number. This is Dan Hilferty, CEO of Independence Blue Cross, with a simple reminder of how much good we do for others when we protect ourselves. We'll never know how many lives we save because we wear masks, wash our hands frequently, and keep social distance. We'll never know exactly who we help, who we save when we take protective steps each day. We'll only know one thing for certain, that we did all we could to save people from the effects of a pandemic with the potential to overwhelm the region. And that's a nice thing for us to live with. Thank you all. For more on what you can do, visit ibx.com. Together, we are beating COVID-19.
Enjoy your McDonald's favorites without having to wait in line for them. Download the McDonald's app today and use mobile order and pay for contactless payment and curbside pickup at participating McDonald's.
You're listening to The Source on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
I'll come back to The Source while I'm waiting for Pastor Waller to call in. Let me finish up with Woody. Woody, are you still there?
I'm still here.
All right. Well, thank you for holding on for a little bit.
I just, and as little as possible, because I understand when you're moving and grooving,
Listen.
riding that bike, you're coming downhill, you got to know which way to turn, which way to bounce. Balance is everything.
It is.
And that clears your brain. People don't realize that the brain secretes hormones into the bloodstream that help you balance yourself. I don't care how old you are. So you keep riding that bike, young lady. I was thinking about you yesterday. I did 30 miles yesterday, and I said, I know she's doing more than that. She wants to go to 45. I'm battling you.
You're going to have to keep battling me because my team rode 65 on Sunday. I'm going to ride with them. So, yeah. Mike just said, woo.
Amazing. I'm just telling you, you're amazing. And look, you talked about the lady that was in Jamaica that fought all of those. You're from that.
Oh, I am.
And
I so identify, Woody, I so identify with Nanny of the Maroons. She sits on my kitchen wall right next to Harriet Tubman. I'm not playing.
I'm proud. I'm very proud of that. But I'm waiting to hear from you. We got to get together on this other issue about this office.
Yes, sir. Well, you know, everybody's focusing on COVID and this election right now.
Yes.
So we have to hold on for a little bit, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir.
All right, bye-bye.
Take it easy. Bye-bye. Derek from North Philly. Derek, are you there?
Good afternoon. Love, peace, blessings, and prosperity.
Yes, sir. How are you?
Oh, I'm maintaining the above.
I hear you.
You know, I was encouraged in your conversation how you said that you walk. By the way, thank you for allowing me to tap into the source.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
Absolutely. I was very much encouraged how you walk from Fort Washington to Philly, you said?
No, I rode my bicycle from Philadelphia to Valley Forge.
Oh,
yeah,
my
way
fault.
past King of Prussia. Yes, it's about a 26-mile ride.
I was inspired because it reminded me of a story back in the 90s when I was in my 30s. I was in between jobs and going through a divorce. So at the time, my uncle was living out in Norristown, and he housed me and provided for me so I can get back on my feet. And I needed to get to North Philadelphia, but I didn't want to ask my uncle because he was doing so much for me already. So it was during the summer and a nice day. So I walked from Cherry and Elm Street in Norristown to 6 in Lehigh in North Philadelphia, 4 hours going, 4 hours coming back. And I know that if you were riding your bike for 26 miles, you came across many experiences. And I'm speaking spiritually and enlightenment, because the enlightenment that I received on those occasions, and I did it 3 times on 3 different occasions, because it was nice days and I wanted to get in touch with myself. And you know something, my sister, I believe I came across an angel as I was walking the path, because things that I was told and the ability that I was able to reason with afterwards, I felt that it was an angel, because, you know, I don't want to take up too much time. I was walking and I saw a person running. So I asked them where were they running from and where were they going. And they told me they were coming from Norristown, and I forget where they were going. But I said, hey, I'm walking from Norristown to North Philadelphia. How are you able to run? And he said to me, if you want to know, you have to run with me. So I tried to run as long as I could, but I began to get tired. So I said to myself, if I can just glean some energy, I can finish my own journey and think about what he said. So as I was a leg back, and when his leg went up, I pinched his calf. And when I pinched his calf, I immediately looked up, and he disappeared. I don't know where I looked in front of me, I looked across the street from me, and for GP purposes, I looked in back of me. I didn't see this person nowhere, and it was a wide street. There's no way he could have got out of sight, but he did. And so before I could panic and become puzzled, I meditated on the things that he told me.
Yes.
And he told me to look for signs. There's subliminal messages that God revealed to us through signs. You can read them all day, he told me. And I've been doing that ever since, my sister.
Thank you so much for sharing, Derek. I appreciate your calling in.
You're welcome.
Listen. What Derek said may sound strange to some of you, but I'm telling you, one day I'm going to have a story with you about the different people that kind of stuff has happened to me with, and then they disappeared. It's crazy. From the Produce Junction to just in this random place in Miami while I was starting at a conference. Craziness. I've seen it all, so I believe him. We have now on the line Reverend Dr. Alan E. Waller, who is the senior pastor of the Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Highly sought after revivalist, vocalist, and lecturer, Dr. Waller is a true visionary of the church and the community who serves humanity far beyond the restraints of traditionalism. Pastor Waller, are you there?
Hey, I am here. You know what I want to say to that, brother? When I went into ministry, the first 3 months I was in ministry, an angel came to my dorm room every night I was in the bed. Every night, angels appeared in my dorm room. When I tell that story, people think I'm crazy. But I just accepted my call to ministry. I was living in Louisville, Kentucky, and I wasn't sure about what the Lord had said. It was a very radical call in my life. And for 3 months, every night that I got in bed, those angels came, and it was a part of affirming that God really had called me.
Pastor Waller, go ahead.
And sometimes on the front end of an experience with God, we call it theophonic experience. God will make God's self so plain to you because it's not all the time. And then when you get out on this journey, sometimes you got to just remember God told you to be here, because you can't really see him right now. Can't really hear him. But no one can ever tell me what I didn't see. And then those moments when I feel like quitting, when I feel like shutting it down, I'm reminded that I'm doing this because God called me. So I want to just affirm that, brother. I don't know who he was.
Yeah, I didn't. This is the first time I'm hearing from him too. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Pastor Waller. You know, I say this every Tuesday, but I really do enjoy talking to you, because you make me, in your own wonderful way, open up and talk about things that I wouldn't ordinarily talk about. So the fact that you said that I'm going to share this one story, and I have several of them. I was in a Produce Junction in Glenside a few years ago, and it was one of those really tough days. You know, I just wasn't feeling myself. I wanted to get some fruits and vegetables, and as I was looking at a watermelon, tapping it, I hear this person say, oh, you're the reason why I'm in here. I looked up, and there was this black woman with roomy eyes. You ever see somebody with roomy eyes, and it just, looked yellow, reddish kind of? And she held my hands, and she said, You cannot give up. You are not here to do anything but to change lives by the millions. And she told me some other things, Pastor Waller, and then she touched every last one of my fingertips. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? And she said, go walk with God. And I looked down, and when I looked up, the woman was gone. Now, that Project Junction was not that big.
Right.
I wondered if I had dreamt it, right? But, you know, every once in a while, those kinds of things happen to me, sent along my journey to remind me that I am not here on my own, that I'm not here to do this. You know, this is not about me in any way, shape, or form. Even my doctor, who is a part of ministry, I went to see her today. She said to me, you're here to minister to people that even through your journey with diabetes, this wasn't about you, because God knew you were going to do what you needed to do. I dropped 40 pounds. The diabetes is gone. My sugar levels are normal. But she said that was for you to help other people on their journey, you know?
That's right.
So thank you. Every Tuesday that you call, you know, you somehow manage to get me to divulge a little bit more in helping people, you know? The Republican National Convention started yesterday.
Right.
I couldn't watch it, could not watch it. But I have begun to see highlights of what's going on there. And on top of that, I have been having dialogue. I was in Washington, D.C., right by the White House, and met a young black brother who said that the Biden and Harris has to earn his vote. And so I had Keir Bradford-Garay, our chief defender, and Ryan Boyer on yesterday to have a large discussion around the young people and what does that mean.
Yeah.
And Pastor Waller, I'm concerned. The young brother in Washington, D.C. said, listen, we are willing to not vote to teach you all that we're not just giving away our votes anymore. And I have you on every Tuesday for us to continue to implore to people how important this vote is, especially after seeing the highlights from last night. Sir, help me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is a fair statement, but it's an in-house conversation. And what I mean, right now, the stakes are too large. We need Biden and Harris in there. But that is not because everything about them is perfect. And that's where we as the people have to understand the role of governance. It's not just about getting the position. There are things about the candidates, all political parties are not perfect. They're just not perfect. And there are things that we want. And we have to raise the question, do we think we'll get them from this administration or will we get them from a different administration? Sometimes it's true. You deal with the devil that you know as opposed to the devil that you don't know. But in this case, the devil that we know is so corrupt that we cannot afford, and it has been proven that they won't play fair, they won't speak truth, so that there's nothing that we can do with this administration that will forward our agenda.
Right.
Even if Tim Scott was, and I do watch. I watch because I believe in listening to the enemy. I listen to Fox News because I want to know what they're arguing. Because sometimes you have to deal with presuppositional apologetics. If I know what your suppositions are and your assumptions, I got to argue you not on your lie, but I got to argue at the very core of your argument. So for that reason, I do listen. But it has been proven that we won't get anything out of this. And I think you need to know, that brother needs to know, that when Joe Biden said he was going to call a woman, black pastors around the country sent him a letter. And the letter said, you need to not only get a woman, but a black woman. And we said to him that if you don't pick a black woman, it will be to your peril.
Wow.
That was a letter sent to him by a collective of black pastors across the country. Now, I'm not saying that we're the only ones that did it.
Right.
But I believe that he demonstrated we can push him. I think Joe Biden knew that he was dead in the water coming out of the Northeast. It was Clyburn and South Carolina and black people that gave him a shot. And I think he knows that. That at least that amount of power affords us. So that means we can't stop at November 3rd. We have to stay in the administration because any political entity will drift. We've seen that in Philadelphia. They will drift from you unless you keep the pressure on. So after he's in, we got to stay at the table and be very clear about what are the needs in the black community beyond police reform and the penal system.
Right.
Because we tend to have allowed this conversation to be, if you notice, when anybody starts talking about what they're doing for the black community, bring up police.
Mm-hmm.
But then that puts us in the relationship as if we're always the criminal.
Right.
But we have to argue that there's more on black concerns, and those concerns are making sure that we have enough capital for businesses to have liquidity so that they can come up here in Philadelphia. We have to start asking questions like, how come the major black hotel that was supposed to be here in Center City didn't make it? How come the food chain that moved up from North Carolina began to buy up property and then all of a sudden it went away? We have to begin to ask those political questions of our political leaders. What does this city, what does this country have to do to ensure that black businesses have the type of capital and access to credit that will afford them the necessary money to not just start up but make it? So there's a whole lot that we have to talk about, and there's a whole lot that we can get from this administration that it has been proven in times past we haven't.
Right.
But there's a better shot with this administration because there's no shot at all. You know, if you're dealing with someone who won't even tell the truth, and we said last night was a bunch of lies up to and including Haley, Nikki Haley, talking about how she grew up as the brown girl. She was the brown girl, and she argued that this is not a racist country. But if we just get mad at them and run away, we will not win.
Yes.
So this one is critical. Yes, he has to earn our vote, but earn our vote, we have to have that conversation in the House.
Okay.
So what I'm suggesting is that even those of us who have political differences with people in the Democratic Party, because I think we need to remember gentrifiers are Democrats. And so there are some things that are happening with white Democrats that are not in the best interest of black people, but for the purposes of getting Biden in, we have to be involved and in pocket. I'll give you as an example. If you watch my sermon on Sunday, I had on a T-shirt by the same people who are putting bicycles all over North Philly. You know, and so there's Cycle to Vote, and it's a good T-shirt. But we got some conversations about how North Philly and the gentrified areas are being taken over by white people, and we've got to say, hey, you know, if we're going to be in this house together, we got to start sharing this property.
Right.
So that means right now we have to understand the difference between an in-house struggle and a street fight. We're in an in-house struggle with some white Democrats, but we're in a street fight with Trump and his administration.
Right. Right. Wow. I hope people got that. This young man, I asked him, Pastor Waller, what do you need? What is it that you all are looking for? He said he had just graduated from Howard University, that he was well over $100,000 in debt. He's looking to see that college degrees are less expensive, that college tuition could be free in some parts. They're housing insecure. He can't afford to live in D.C. with on a salary of under $40,000 a year, right?
Right?
Food insecure, not able to purchase health insurance. And he said to me, if we could just get the team to come to the table and say, these are the things we're going to look at when we get into office. He said that would go a long way into making us say, okay, you know, we'll give you the vote and then we'll hold you accountable. And so I wonder now how we can go through the process of making that a reality, because there are many of the young black people, I've talked to them, said that they are going to vote. I am going to take a break. They are going to vote, but they're, you know, they have issues, right? But the ones that I'm concerned about are the ones who are not. You know, and so I'd like to be able to get to them so that we can figure out something, because we need to win this election one way or another.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think we have to keep it at it's the devil that you know versus the devil that you don't know. And I know that's, you know, pejorative language, but you have to ask yourself, where's the best shot? And right now, the best shot is with the Democratic Party. That has not always been the truth, and that has not always been the case. But right now, we have to at least deal with people who are going to deal with reality.
Right.
And I think that's where we have to be.
Yeah.
But as some would say, keep our powder dry.
Yes.
Because once we get in, we got some in-house fighting to do.
Come on. Hold on one second, Pastor Waller. Let me take a quick break, please. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WordRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour workday, kind of work people more than 8 hours without overtime, kind of work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staten, Executive Director of LESIT.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to The Source
on Word Radio,
96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Welcome back to The Source. We have on the line Reverend Dr. Alan E. Waller. Dr. Waller, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Yes. So we've been having this large, discussion, and I don't even know if I want to talk about it. People are still saying that Jamaicans and people from the Caribbean islands are not a part of chattel slavery. And so therefore we are not African. I don't know what to tell people, Pastor Waller. There is all this history and data out there, and they're still concerned about the fact that Kamala is not black because she's half Jamaican. What? Why? Is this a distraction? But black people are saying it too.
Well, it's a distraction. I think we have to talk about what we're talking about. One, it is true to use the language. She is not African American. That's true. And, you know, I got that lesson taught to me at Enon when, very quickly, after we built the building and, you know, some white people were coming to church, I stood up, it was about 2007. I stood in the pulpit and I said, all non-African Americans, meet me after church because I want to talk to you.
Right.
What I meant was the 50 to 100 white people that I saw coming to church,
Right.
I wanted to ask them, how is it being in this congregation? I think whenever you are the majority, you need to check on the minorities in your midst. That's righteousness. So I said, I want you all to meet me afterwards. But I said, I want all non-African Americans to meet me in the Family Life Center. What I expected was that there was going to be, you know, maybe 50 white people that meet me in the building. When I got in there were like 400 people that looked like me. So then one brother stood up and said, Pastor, we know what you meant, but you said non-African Americans. The brother said, I'm Haitian. I'm not African American. Another brother who I had played basketball with started speaking fluent Spanish to me, and he looked at me and said, Papi, I bet you ain't know. And what they were saying is, we're all black.
Right.
We're not all African American.
And that I understand.
True.
Yes.
That is true.
Right.
Now, the slavery that we experienced in the America is a fundamental difference, slavery, even though it's all a part of the slave trade, all a part of the slave trade, because we're in that whole sugar, rum trade. We brought them over, dropped you all off in Jamaica, got picked up rum, kept on coming. And so that there was a different type of slavery that she experienced, or that her people experienced, or that your people experienced, that is different. It could be argued that because of the Catholicism of the slave owners versus the Protestantism of the slave owners in America, on some levels, it was, you were able to retain some of the Africanisms that you were not able to retain in America, but it is not a difference enough to separate us. And it is not fair to suggest that there's no lineage of slavery, because there was.
There is.
There is a marked difference in the type of slavery.
Okay.
And I think it's a fair conversation, but it can't divide us.
Right.
Because we're all black.
Yes.
We live in a world that, since the Greco-Roman world took over, has had a philosophy of white supremacy that has had Christianity as its chaplaincy arm. That doesn't mean don't be Christian. It just means we have to recognize what that stuff was. And it is a distraction for us to start fighting over it.
Right.
And so we can't afford that. But we can have the discussion, and while we have it, we can teach white folks how to repair to us.
Right.
When we took on African American as opposed to black, Negro, or colored, it was sort of the first time we said, this is what you call us. And so I think we need to understand it, appreciate the diversity that is us, but not let the diversity divide us from each other.
Let me ask you a question, because I'm learning something from you. Because she was born right here in America, she has immigrant parents. That does not make her African American?
Now, that's a good question. That's a good question. My wife is Bayesian, and so most of her family would argue that they are not African American, because they were
born in another place.
Born in another place,
Yes.
right? Now, she was born here, and that's a discussion. I think that's a fair discussion, and ultimately it's for her to identify. But my personal thinking is probably that the term African American does not apply.
Wow.
But again, at the end of the day, that's an academic discussion.
Right.
It should not be something that causes us to split up along political lines. And there are probably some good people like you or anybody listening to me who could differ on that. And at the end of the day, it's not even for us to decide.
Okay.
It's what she said.
Right.
Because it's her.
Right.
And what she identifies with, but I think it's a fair conversation.
It is. And I think we need to have it in a way that we're not tearing each other's throats apart, because I was born and raised in Jamaica. I consider myself black. I am not African American. I'm a black woman. My sons are African American. They were born and raised here. That's how I saw it. That's how they see it. So do we take away their lineage because I am an immigrant?
I don't think we do. And it could have to do with your sons are African American and you are not.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's not something that has to divide us. And we can't feed into that. Why? Because we've always had this sort of thing where we divide each other up, and we do it now.
Right.
Blacks who are in the city, blacks who are in
the suburbs.
County, in the suburbs, the light skin, dark skin.
Yep.
We cannot afford that. We don't have time to have that as a public discourse, and it certainly does not have to be a determining factor. If we want to have a determining factor about her, let's talk about her prosecutorial record.
Right.
You want to have that conversation, but let's not have the are you black enough? That went out with the brown paper bag.
Come on. Thank you, Pastor Waller.
You can't do that.
Yes. We have Reverend Bencoli of South Philadelphia, line 1. Hello, sir.
Hello. How are you doing?
I'm good.
I just love this overall conversation, this particular topic.
had been on my mind all day long, as a matter of fact. And I think, and I agree with Pastor, this shouldn't be something that we spend a whole lot of time on. But I think the real answer is she is a black American of Jamaican and Indian descent. Straight up. Nobody could argue. She's a black American. She was born in America. She's a black American of Jamaican and East Asian or Indian descent. Okay, and the whole nuance thing, I agree wholeheartedly, because a lot of what's happening now, some of these things are actually being put out there in social media, so we'll get completely distracted. Now, one other thing I'd like to say, real quick, about these young folks. One of the things that we want to put ourselves in a position to fight another day. And the day before yesterday, I think one of the police shot another brother in the back.
7 times.
Now, it's not that we hadn't been being killed by the police. It's just that we know that this administration encourages that. Okay,
that's right.
And so what we're doing is we're setting ourselves up for complete failure. And Pastor is right on point when he says Joe Biden and this administration can be influenced. And I wasn't part of the 100 preachers, but I contacted the folks I know in the regional offices and myself. And the other thing is Joe Biden. The last thing, and I'll get off because I know you guys.
Thank you.
The last thing is this administration, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, are not going to be able to change everything by themselves. We have to focus on the Senate,
and the
getting the Senate back, retaining the House, the state reps, and the state Senate, and the local politicians, and there's a whole lot of stuff on the ballot this year.
Thank you.
Conferences on the ballot.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So thank you for this conversation.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you, Pastor Waller. I appreciate you, Mother.
Oh, thank you. God bless you too.
Yes, sir.
All right, bye-bye. Pastor Waller, the lines are lit up, and we're just going to keep going. So what has happened now in Philadelphia in terms of voting? Do we have the drop-off points yet? Do you know anything else about that?
Yes. I talked with Senator Vincent Hughes today. We should know where they are by today or tomorrow.
Oh, great.
And once we know that, I know that one of the efforts that we're going to do is actually do a Facebook Live in every spot.
Okay.
So that people will know. Literally go to the spot and say, hey, this one is at 17th and so. You have to come down the street. The parking is over. And Pastor Marshall Mitchell and some of the guys are going to put that together so everyone will know specifically where the places are. And the reason that they're important is these spots eliminate the post office.
Right.
People understand. It's mail in, but if you do it there or even bring yours there, then they don't deal with the post office.
Great. Okay.
And so that's what we have to focus on. And it's not an either or, both and. We got to have as many people do it early as possible so that we alleviate some of the crowding on the 3rd.
On election day.
What I'm prayerful that we will do, the reason that we also need to win this is because he's not on this time, but in 2 more years, Pat Toomey will be on.
Yes.
And what we need African Americans to understand is that African Americans in black people in Philadelphia can determine every statewide election if we want to. And so we need him out. And if we understand how that works, we turn out in good numbers and put somebody in against him. We flip the Senate.
Absolutely, and we need to.
You can't, because if you get a president in there, but he doesn't have the Senate, and we've learned this.
Yes.
The Senate can protect a president who is clearly guilty and just not do anything to him. So we can't just get a president or vice president. We have to control the House and Senate. And when we do it, get everything we want done during that administration.
Amen. Reverend Dr. Alan E. Waller, so thankful. I look forward to next Tuesday when we can find out where some of those drop spots are. And however we can help you in WURD, please let me know. All right, because
Absolutely.
I'm happy to do a live with you, happy to do any of those other things that you want to do so that we can get as many people out to the polls as possible. All right?
Cool. All right.
All right. Have a good afternoon,
so
sir.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Yes, sir. Talk to you
All right,
soon.
appreciate it.
Bye-bye. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WordRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Start your day with Daybreak.
Hosted by Helana.
Weekdays 6 a.m. till 7 a.m. Exclusively on Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Streaming live at wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app.
Word Radio Digital Tip of the Week
with Stephanie Humphrey.
I'm your Tech Life expert, Stephanie Humphrey, and this is your Word Digital Tip of the Week. Shopping online at Amazon.com has been a lifeline for people during the pandemic because you can get groceries and other much-needed items delivered to your door. But the price for an Amazon Prime membership may make it hard for everyone to take advantage. The normal price of a Prime membership is $119 a year or $12.99 per month. But if you are a college student or you qualify as low income, you can get a discount. Students can get a 6-month free trial, and then the monthly fee is $649 or $59 for the year. If you have an EBT card or a Medicaid card, you can get a Prime membership for $5.99 a month. With an Amazon Prime membership, you get free shipping on your orders, access to all of the great movies, TV shows, and music available, free 2-hour delivery on some essential items with Prime Now, discounts, and a lot more. Now more people can take advantage of a way to stay safely socially distanced right now and make our lives more convenient in the future. Stay tuned to WURD for more tech tips and stay connected with us at wordradio.com.
The Word Digital Tip of the Week is brought to you by Comcast NBC Universal.
JD's Auto Body and Painting is hiring talent for the following positions. Assembler, preferably 2 to 3 years experience, able to tear down and reassemble all make and model cars. Painter, must have at least 5 years overall painting experience, including experience in water-based paint and able to prep cars for paint jobs. Auto Body Technician, looking for an A or B technician, must have at least 5 years experience repairing cars. Please send your resume to JD's Auto Body and Painting at Comcast.net. That's JDS Auto Body and Painting at Comcast.net or call 215-848-5949 for more details. JD's Auto Body and Painting is an equal opportunity employer.
You're listening to The Source
on Word Radio.
96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Welcome back to The Source. Before we go to our next guest, and I'm looking forward to having a conversation with him, let me quickly take these 3 phone calls because the line's a little like a Christmas tree over here. Brian, Germantown, how are you there?
Yeah, hey, Andrea.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good evening. That's good. That's good. So now, you know, we are from the Caribbean. I'm from Trinidad, you're Jamaican. But we are Americans because the OAU, the Organization of American States, is the Caribbean countries along with the United States of America.
Yes.
We are South Americans, Central South Americans. Columbus landed in Haiti, which was the first Caribbean island that was discovered.
Yes.
Hispaniola. And he discovered America. Right? That's America.
Yeah.
So we were not citizens of the United States of America, but we were from North America.
Yeah.
So people used to say, "Are you American?" I said, "Yeah."
Yeah.
And I was not a citizen at that time of the United States of America.
Right.
Now, don't forget, after World War II, during World War II, all the Caribbean countries participated in that war.
Yes.
Don't you celebrate that war veterans war of World War II in your country and Trinidad and all the other countries?
Yep.
So when after World War II, when they had the Berlin Conference and the European nations carved up the world for themselves. If people want to know about the Berlin Conference, that's how Africa and Asia and they got their artificial borders. But but black people goes back even before the Europeans came here. The Olmecs were a civilization, a black civilization. They touched Central South America, and they discovered those colossal heads. They have pyramids more than in Egypt.
Absolutely, you're right. And the Aztecs, but I wish I had time to go in a little bit more in detail about this. I'm going to do something differently next week so we can discuss this more. So Brian, can you call back next week for me, please? Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about this because I need us to be not divided on this issue. And so thank you so much for calling in, okay?
No problem.
All right, bye-bye. Brother Jacob, quickly, sir, I got a guest that I got to get to. How are you?
Oh, man, I'm going to do this real quick. One thing I could say, Ray Charles could see that you, Sister Kamala Harris, y'all some strong black women. Okay?
Man.
Ray Charles can see that. You don't have to do a lot of explaining.
Yep.
But, Pastor Wall, I just want to say, man, he's a good pastor. He invited us to his church, and I'm Muslim, and he had a breakfast, and we were meeting about the violence in Philadelphia. And I'm telling you, this brother made us feel so at home.
Yes.
And that's hard to do, know, when you're working with diversity.
Yes.
But he has that touch.
Yes,
the
he
man
does.
He's just all that and a bag of chips.
Yep.
And don't worry about being black, sister. Ray Charles can see what we are. Okay?
Yes, sir. Take it easy. All right, Brother Jacob, take it easy. All right, Tyrone. Quickly, Tyrone, 30 seconds. How you doing, sir?
I am good. Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings, honey.
I really wanted to just ask Reverend Wallace, so if you can remember, just in case I can't get on next week, that why does all these Christian evangelists support Trump so much? I mean, I even heard one of them says that he was God sent for this particular time.
Okay.
And it's just amazing that they can have that attitude. And Mother, when that police shot 7 times in that car, he's seen those children. So in his mind, was he trying to again put the fear of white supremacy in these children's minds?
Tyrone, I'm going to come back to discussing that a little bit later on in the show. I deliberately have not spoken on it. I knew what happened. I tried not to traumatize myself with it, but it is white supremacy, right? But I don't have the time and the bandwidth to talk about it right this second, and even about the amount of shootings and killings in the country. Okay. A.L. Sanders at wordradio.com. So I'll get back on that piece of it, right? Because we're going to talk about it. Because even the shootings that are happening in the city, and it seems to be such an uptick, I am really concerned that it's not just the people in the neighborhood that are committing these shootings, right? And so we have to be really careful about how we get, again, emotional intelligence is super key here. Before we open up our mouths, and I understand that we get really upset about a lot of things, we have to spend time and really look at the core, the root cause of a lot of what's happening to us. And we get frustrated, and they know with our frustration, they do one match and everything goes up in flames, right? So I really want us to think. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later, okay?
Okay.
All right, honey. Take it easy. All right, bye-bye. Joseph.
Yes.
Wow. My Lord.
Wonderful, wonderful.
This show, it is always hot. But, I was talking to one of the people that I cycle with today, who was a school teacher. And she says, how did you get to this place? I said, one of the things we are taught all the time is to seek first to understand instead of being understood. And so when people hear me talk, they think I'm just talking out the side of my neck. I am literally, when I tell you I'm a voracious reader, I haven't watched television in weeks. Right? Because I'm always researching and looking and digging beneath the surface and going to the root cause. And instead of us working together to try and understand, we fight one another. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, dude, I'm not on this air to fight with you. I'm on this air to gain knowledge, learn from you, you learn from me. Right? That's how this works. That's how this works.
Do what you do with me. When they try to challenge me, I say, go read that book. Come talk to me after.
Yes. So, Joseph,
let's come back and talk.
Absolutely. And oftentimes, people, it's easier for people to rush off on the little bit of history that they know versus really digging deeply. So it's a lot going on, and it's super entangled. But I'm going to introduce you and talk about the email, the thing that you wrote on Facebook. So this is how I was introduced to you. You wrote something on Facebook that said this: to all city, state, and federal elected officials, thank you for the turkey drive. Thank you for the book bags. Thank you for the community outreach. Thank you. We also need resources here. Others are getting millions of dollars in grants and loans to open programs, or they pay no taxes for 10 years. Or organizations and businesses can have access to those dollars. We have to write a dissertation to obtain $5,000. Then you have to write another dissertation to say what you did with the small funds. Our neighborhoods are looking dirty even before COVID-19. Potholes almost everywhere. The school system is in a shamble. The programs are obsolete. They do not meet the standard of the 21st century. The buildings are unsafe. Many schools have a grade 1 out of 10 in the black and brown communities. This is unacceptable. The healthcare centers are not functioning properly. An appointment to see a doctor can be scheduled for 6 months if you are lucky, or they tell you to go to the ER. The staff members in the hospitals are very nasty to the clients, especially if they do not speak English. The food stamp office, WIC office, and the CCIS office are understaffed, and they are not run effectively and efficiently. You know how many people you can see in a day with the staff that you have. Why do you not have appointments? 3 bedrooms now cost $1,200 in a decent area to rent. The federal minimum wage is still $7.25. How can one survive on this salary? PICO, PGW, and water went up. Everything went up but the minimum wage. Racism, discrimination, prejudice, police brutality, the murder of black and brown people in Philadelphia are up, especially in some parts of the north side. What is the comprehensive plan to reduce crime in that black and brown areas? We need a new deal. We need fresh new ideas to solve these above-mentioned problems. People are fed up. I am fed up. They do not care to vote because they feel that it does not matter. They will get some turkey book bags until next year. Elected officials, do your job or you will be voted out. People, welcome to Joseph. Listen, Joseph was born August 13th, 1976 in a town called Phaeton. Located in the Fort Liberté area of northeastern Haiti. Lord, I had to know. He acquired most of his childhood education in Haiti as his father's school, the New World, Le Nouveau Monde. Daffy's leadership ability first presented itself when he became president of his class. At times when his teachers were sick or late, Daffy stepped in as a substitute teacher and taught his classmates. You better come on with it. After completing most of his education in Haiti, he migrated to the United States in 1995 and began his senior year at Springfield High School in Queens, New York. And so you enrolled in college in New York. I don't want to go through all of this because I really want people to get to the meat of the story, and we don't have all the time in the world. Joseph, tell us why you wrote that post, because, Lord, I saw it and thought, I got to talk to him.
Thank you for inviting me, and I've been reading your posts for a while. They are very creative. They are funny at times. And informative when you're talking about your husband. He said he doesn't want you to get out the house without this. So I've been reading you for a while.
You have?
Yes.
You have?
On the radio. Yes, I have.
You know, Joseph, the reason why I write the way that I do and constantly, and I'm very intentional about my writing, there's so many people that think that black folks don't have a life, right? That we're not married, we don't have husbands, we don't have wives, we don't go into college, And so we write in a way so that people can see us from a different perspective. I cannot tell you.
It was intentional. It was intentional.
Very intentional.
Yes. Beautiful. It's beautiful. So the reason that I wrote this thing is I am very fed up. I've been volunteering here since I came here in 1995. I love politics because I know what it can do when it's done right. And to see that it resumed to only go back turkeys, it annoys me. That's not what we need. It's nice gesture to do this, but we really need resources. We really need to open businesses. We really need grants. Let's do what really needed, because the other folks, they get the grants with no problem. They get the grant with no problem. They get the 10 years abatement with no problem. Why can't we get it too so we can build wealth? So this is what really got me upset. I'm looking at the rent for you to own a place, the murder. Kids are being murdered in front of the house. This is unacceptable. We should have been in the street already. We should not tolerate this. Our kids are afraid to be at the park. It's unacceptable. So that's why I would this piece, because I'm like, we need to start and tell the elected official, this thank you with the turkeys and the book bag is not enough. It's nothing at all comparing to what they do for other folks. When they have problems, when they have problem with the heroin, they spend a bunch of money. They open programs for them. Why are you doing with all this crime in Philadelphia?
Right.
And nothing is being done. They just give you $2,000 here, $5,000 here, and the next thing you know, they want you to write a dissertation to just say what you did with $2,000.
Yeah, you know, you're absolutely right, Joseph. And let me say this to you, because I was paying attention to that too. Here's something that bugged me. We tell people that you're considered a small business. Lots and lots of black and brown folks went out and ran and got 501c3s, right? Thinking that they'll be able to get grants and whatever else, only to find out that a small business is considered something that's over $1.5 billion and above, right? So there are all these processes that are put in place to keep us from actually gaining access to the funding that we could use, right? Yes. And I've talked to quite a few people from foundations, because I've said to them, you know, you keep saying that the person has to have a 501c3, but you have all these other parameters in place that stops folks from getting the funding. Are you really trying to help the people in your community, or does it just is something to speak about, right? And then we give these monies, we give the monies to so many of these nonprofits who are really, we're not seeing the fruit. We should, if a nonprofit is in our community, right, and getting funding to do the work, why are we not seeing a tangible change?
Because they don't care about us. They don't even understand how to deal with us. They're scared of us. So you're getting grants, $1 million of grant to work with us. You don't look like us. You don't speak like us. You don't live where we live. You don't understand anything about us. You just come in here, make your money, and go and pay your friends and your friends. And the foundation, the state grant, the federal grant, the city grant goes to those people.
Yes.
And so against them. But my problem with them is this: if you get the grant to help us, then you need to hire people that look like us, that sound like us, to do the job, because you are afraid to do the job. You're scared.
Okay, Joseph, so you just came up with one solution, right? Yes. Those people that are in the nonprofit world that are getting the grants need to hire people that look like us, right, to do the jobs in the communities. So there we go. All right, so that's one solution.
It's also to give those grants to organizations who look like the people. Because when I come and talk to someone who's from an island, they deal with me differently because they understand that I understand where they're coming from. I can help them better because I understand that they don't deal with government. Government is a bad thing back home. Government is oppressive. So anything they see about government, they don't want to deal with it. So when I talk to them, they say, it's okay, let's do this. But the government was trying to deal with them, they did not open the door because I don't know you. You're the government. You're a bad thing to us. So that's one of the solutions. And the second one is to give it to those nonprofits to do the work. Take off all these barriers. Because how many times are you going to ask me the same question, what did I do with the money? It's very simple. I have a budget. This is expenses. Simple. But they make it so complicated that you have to hire someone to do that job for you. And you don't have the money to do it. The third solution that I come up with is this. As a people, we used to this. You know the susu. You know this.
Come on, I know the partner and the susu. Yes.
This is how we build wealth. This is what people want to understand. These people making only minimum wage, but they're buying homes, they're buying cars. How they do it? Well, we put our money together. We need to do those things. We learn this thing. We bring it back from Africa. Those principles of putting money, putting our heads together to build something. If you have $1,000, you have 10,000 people. You have $1 million right there. So why would we not put our money and our resources together? We're fighting. We're putting one little store here, one little store there. And you know what happened? 6 months later, a year later, it's closed down. Because we don't have the resources. And we don't have the expertise. So if you have the expertise, bring your expertise. If I have $1,000, bring my $1,000, and we can build something beautiful together and something that is sustainable. So those are solutions that I think of because Because I'm like, we have to be creative. Because our ancestors, when they threw lemon at them, they make lemonade out of it. When they threw rock at us, we make a house out of it.
Yep.
That's the type of people we are. When they told us that we could not eat the pig or the chicken, whatever we had, we take the leg, we take this thing, we create food out of it.
Yep.
This is who we are.
Yep. Michelle Watson said on Facebook, cooperative economics is exactly what it is, Michelle.
Exactly.
And
we need to find a way to work it out if they're not going to give us the loan and the grant that we need.
Yes, absolutely. Listen, Joseph, you are speaking to the choir, right? We know people who are making minimum wage, cooperatively working together. They have a bunch of people live in their family homes, usually folks from other places that are immigrants here, right?
Yes.
And they put their $2 and $3 together and they do a susu or a partner. And next thing you know, they're buying houses, right? They're working together and building businesses and working with one another. We can do it. We absolutely can do it.
When I walk in the morning before I start my day. I walk on Casper Avenue. I walk on Oxford Avenue. I walk on Germantown. We do not own
a thing.
2 or 3 businesses.
Yep.
All of them. I have nothing with foreign people. I have nothing with other people. But I'm saying, what about us? We don't own anything in our neighborhood. So now, you know what happened? That money, that dollar comes in. It does not even stay a one day in the neighborhood. It goes right back out.
Yep.
And those people, they will not hire our cousins.
Yep.
They will not hire us. It's their people.
And we continue to support them.
Why are we supporting people who don't support us?
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people it's like we're fighting against ourselves. So if you're not gonna hire my cousin, you're not gonna hire me, I'm not spending money
here.
If you're not spending my nonprofit, I have a nonprofit. If you're not supporting my nonprofit, I do not buy things from you. Because what they do, that money that we spend, they go and do that in their neighborhood.
Oh yeah.
They hire their people. So we need to be smart. We need to be intelligent to say, okay, if that's the way you're doing it, I'm going to make sure that my money is not spent with you. And also, when we're voting, we're going to make sure, even though the person looks black, that doesn't mean that that person would care about our issues. Because a lot of times, they get money from other folks, they answer only to those folks when they call them. And us, when we call them, they do not call us back. They don't come to our event. It's like, oh, wait a minute. Most of the elected officials in Philadelphia are black.
Yes.
What is going on here? So something we have to be smart enough to understand. Wait a minute. Even though that person looks black, sound black, know the vernacular, but you know what? They are not dealing with our issues. And if you're not dealing with our issues, we should not vote for them.
You know, Joseph, I know. If our people would wake up out of our slumber, we'd be dangerous.
Yes.
And folks want us to not to be awake. They want us to continue to fight with each other. They want us to continue to look at the stuff that makes no sense, the things that are not important in the grand scheme of things, right?
Yes.
And so I really appreciate your calling in to have. I love that you had 3 great solutions. I love it. Because oftentimes when people call, Joseph, they want to complain, but they don't have solutions, right? And so I would encourage for us to continue. I look out for each other. Even something as simple as our neighbors, look out for one another. I'm planting in my garden. I'm sharing with my neighbors. There's nothing I wouldn't do for my neighbors. But the thing that I say to folks all the time, don't just take. Figure out how you can support each other, too, in your community. You know?
And right now, I'm sitting in a van right now. I just went to pick up some food to feed people. I give diapers. I do those things. And also, I teach them how to open a business.
Yes,
where they
Joseph.
can find a loan to open a business. Where you can find a grant to open a business.
Yes.
You can do it. You know how to do hair. You know how to cook. Well, do something with that gift that you have.
Absolutely.
So they don't understand that. So that's one thing that I provide with my nonprofit.
Yes.
Well, I'm like, you're good at doing hair. Why don't you do something small? Start at home. No, I need to have a salon. I'm like, no.
No, start small.
Start at home.
Yep.
A lot of businesses start at home.
Yep.
KFC started in the corner. McDonald's started in the corner.
Yep.
That's how it started.
Yep.
So we have to be intelligent enough to say, okay, this is what I'm good at. I'm good at writing. You're good at math. What's not you doing, people? You charge people for this.
Yes.
That you know how to, a lot of stuff that we know how to do, but we don't monetize them. We don't make money out of it. Oh, no, I only do hair.
Joseph, you are speaking my language. You are so speaking my language. I'm so sorry we have to get off the call in a couple of minutes because let me tell you this. It was how I was able to do what I was doing, right? I have 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 different things that I did incredibly well. And I quietly did those things incredibly well, right?
Wow.
And so while I didn't see a dime of stimulus money from not A, B, C, or D, I was able to sustain, right? Because when I was making money, I didn't blow it on name brand anything, right? I was able to just keep putting away, driving my car for 12 years, 200 and something thousand miles on it. We have to get outside of ourselves and the egos that we carry about, I got to look a certain way, I got to be a certain way. You want to be a business person, you've got to sacrifice quite a bit, right? To get to the place where you want to make sure that your business is legitimized. Man, I gotta go. And thank you.
I would say this lastly, investment.
Yes. Oh, come on, Joseph. Now, see, Joseph, you go.
$50, $20
Listen.
start investing. You don't need to be a millionaire. You can start small.
Yep. $2 stocks, $10 stocks. They exist.
Stock. They're there.
Joseph, so here's what I want to do. I want you to call back next week because I wish I could bring people into the studios. You are speaking my entire language, right? And I'm trying to help our people to get to a place where, we can, because people say, well, I make $7.25 an hour. Man, we know people that make less. The average person in the world makes under $10,000 a year. Average, and so we have to think through how we're doing this and work cooperatively so we can move forward. I gotta go. All right.
Yes, no problem.
Thank you so much, my brother.
If anybody want to contact me, they can email me jdafis, my last name DAFILS at yahoo.com.
At yahoo.com. So I'm going to put it in the social media page. Put it in the Facebook page.
Awesome.
All right.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Oh, you're quite welcome, my brother. You have a good one. Good one. Bye bye. Oh. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. I asked for this. Streaming live on WordRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. I know I have a bunch of callers. I'm going to get to you soon. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we'll be right back after these messages.
The Murray Report.
Bringing you the latest in sports news and opinions.
Hosted by Chris Murray. Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. right here on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Streaming live on WordRadio.com and on the Word Radio app.
Philadelphia families, PHL Pre-K, the city's free pre-K program, is now enrolling. Over 130 pre-K centers are getting ready to serve children this year with appropriate health and safety precautions. There are no income limits for this free pre-K program. Children who were 3 or 4 years old as of September 1 can enroll. Call 844-PHL Pre-K or visit phlprek.org to learn more and find a quality pre-K center. That's 844-PHL Pre-K. This program is made possible by the Philadelphia Beverage Tax.
Brothers and sisters, we've seen enough. It's time to get together. We can do big things together, just like they did. President Obama and Vice President Biden passed healthcare reform, helped rescue the auto industry, and created more than 15 million jobs. And right now, together, we can help Joe Biden do it again as president, to unify this country and fix the issues that we're facing right now. Real police reform, expanding access to high-quality education, protecting our right to vote, and rebuilding the economy so that it works for us. Now is the time for us to rise up and do this together with Joe Biden. Go to joebiden.com/BlackAmerica to learn more.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for President.
You're listening to The Source on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Welcome back to The Source. Joseph was so good, he set my entire tail feathers on fire. So let me take these 3 quick calls. So, Maurice, line 1. Maurice?
Yes, I'm here.
How are you, sir?
Right, all right. How's you doing?
Lord, Maurice.
Well, I called, I always call for Philadelphia to have a black economic town hall meeting.
When?
4. Well, we had to get together. I asked you to, we get together and some of the hosts to put it together to talk about what we need.
Okay.
You had a guest on earlier. He talked about the undeveloped Africa.
Yes.
1884 and 1885. Why is that so important? That was the Berlin Conference. He had to go back to the Berlin Conference so they can understand what's going on in Africa in 2020. Here in America, 1865 and 1866. We have to go from there to 1968. Why? Because that's supposed to have been the closing wealth in Black America, but it wasn't. When they put the Fair Housing Rights Bill in, and it went past, they came with Southern strategies. They came with a policy called banana neglect, and they came with something how to undevelop urban America. So when we move forward, we have to understand when they put that in, they wiped out the infrastructure of Black America economically. We have no infrastructure. If you talk to any of the Black economists, we don't have an infrastructure in place. So when we don't have that in place, that's why you see the campaigns buy black, because we don't have that infrastructure. And one of the things we have to talk about at the Economic Summit is first, put an infrastructure in place. And then we have to create an NGO, a non-government organization that's going to create a partnership. And from there, it's certain prongs we have to put in place so we can build that infrastructure. And there's obligation by people in the community that the community don't know about their obligations toward the Black community is.
So, Maurice, let me ask you this, because what you're talking about sounds excellent. Why aren't we doing it?
Well, some don't know how. Some don't want to. Some don't want to, because if you look at Philadelphia, the masses are suffering.
Yeah. And they got their hands full. Yeah.
I sent you an article July 19th.
Oh, listen, I'm reading your stuff. They're killing me over here. I've got a lot going on.
No. What I'm just saying though, that article I'm telling you, how they intentionally defund the Black community. So this is the chaos that you see, brothers and sisters not working, the young people not working.
Yes.
So whatever they see, they're going after.
Right.
But there's something that can change that condition around. They won't stop all the violence, but we can curb it.
Right.
We create situations and help them get jobs and employment. And we also, last but not least, we brought up a proposal to create 100,000 jobs. It's right here in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is supposed to be a premier city, but yet if you look at even the workforce, from the municipal building to the city officials, you might have a workforce of less than 15,000 Black people in a 44% Black city, with less than 1% of Black business and 0.027 public schools. We are in a permanent underclass.
Yeah, I agree. I don't disagree with you.
Underclass, you have to have a structure in place to pull us up. If not, we continue being a permanent underclass.
Yeah, thank you so much, Maurice, for calling in, because I've got all these other people on the line now waiting. I fully appreciate you. I'm going to go back and read what he sent to me on July 19th. Prince, school call. I have 30 seconds, sir.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Good afternoon.
So the problem that we have mainly in our community is that the old people won't pass the baton. They keep holding on to it, and the community development block grant was based on them, based on the system borrowing off of them 50 years ago, and they still trying to borrow off us. We're not trying to let that happen. And then they keep trying to co-sign for deliverables that we don't want.
Right.
So stop telling us to do things that we don't want to do anymore because we didn't see the results when you did it.
Right.
And so when you keep saying go vote, you don't vote for the lesser evil. Evil is evil. If you got chlamydia and AIDS, you still got a problem.
Yeah.
So don't tell us to vote for the lesser evil. You know, evil is evil. And if you got people like Anthony Williams, 20 years, Dwight Evans, 20 years, Vince Hughes, 20 years. These folks been in politics 20 years, and the community and the Black community has not benefited at all. Yeah. So when you say we don't have, then point the finger. Nobody's pointing the finger. Like nobody's really dealing with the politicians that are the gatekeepers for everybody else to keep us in this predicament.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to point the fingers, then pass the baton. Now let's go ahead and do this thing right here. And it's a good fight because obviously we fight each other better than we fight them.
Yes.
So let's get them a good fight, but don't keep telling us what to do, and because that doesn't work no more.
Got it.
No more.
Got it.
And I'm going to hang up and listen to you.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you so much. Seaman, West Philadelphia, 20 seconds, please. I've got guests on the line waiting.
30 seconds, I'm going to take half of it.
Okay.
It doesn't work. Politicians that's in place, it did not work. Schools that's in place, it did not work. We got to begin to develop our own way of educating our children. Stop voting people in the office. Every elected official in my area was not challenged.
Yes.
Not only my area, most areas. And most of them are in office 20 and 30 years, like the brother just said. We got to change that. You can't just let these people just follow the order.
Yes.
Democratic order. The democratic order is not working for us. We got to do something different. And we can't put people in office. Stop letting these people go in office.
Okay.
Our councilmen, our state reps, our senators, they're there too long. They're part of the system that don't work.
Thank you so
Can't
much,
rely on
sir.
it anymore.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Maurice, Delaware County, 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Andrea, listen, I'm calling about two things.
Yes.
One, your first caller today said something last week, and he said it again today, that forced me to call you.
Yes.
So he believes that slavery in the U.S. versus slavery in Jamaica was absolutely different. It was worse in the U.S. Now, that is incorrect. He said there was no chattel slavery in Jamaica. Maybe Woody needs to understand the definition of chattel slavery. Status, all it means is personal property. So any personal property other than real estate, that's chattel slavery. So Africans were brought to America, the Caribbean, and they were owned by others. They were bought and sold. That's chattel slavery. And I don't have much time here, but to be brief, the experience was even worse in Jamaica, and I can prove it to you. Now, we had the whipping, we had the middle passage, the torture, the sexual abuse, everything. I'll leave you with this. There is something called, there was a British slave master, Thomas Thistlewood. Remember that name?
I remember him.
Right. Tell Woody and those who believe like him to Google that, and to Google something called the Derby Dose. This will give you an idea of how slavery was worse in that part of the world than in America. And then the final thing, Kamala is not black. Was Obama African American? I don't understand that.
Child, don't get me started.
I don't have much time.
I would love for you to call back next week to Maurice, because we're going to keep talking about something here that we need to. I think we need.
American and the black.
I think education is key, right? So we have to go there. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for calling in. Oh my God, you too. All right, heavens to Betsy. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. Nicole Keels Magruder is an accomplished seasoned leader who's garnered over 2 decades of leadership experience in 2 of the nation's top health organizations. She's also co-founder and administrator of area's top home care agency, Loyal Staff. She sits on the boards of directors for Habitat for Humanity Philadelphia and is the chair of the Family Services Committee. Proud former member of the Cheltenham Police Auxiliary Department and also a Girl Scout leader. She's now the State Political Action Chair for the NAACP PA State Conference. Sozi Pedro Talante focuses his practice on white-collar criminal defense. A former Philadelphia city solicitor, Mr. Talante draws on his extensive experience working in multiple areas of government to represent clients in high-profile litigation matters involving sensitive white-collar litigations and investigations. He was appointed city solicitor in January of 2016, a role he held for 2 years, during which he took a variety of prominent issues and oversaw the Philadelphia Law Department's 220 lawyers. Mr. Talante's legal work has been recognized on multiple occasions over the last 2 years, included by the Legal Intelligentsia. And prior to his appointment as city solicitor, Mr. Talante spent 5 years as an assistant U.S. attorney at the United States Attorney's Office in Philadelphia, where he conducted criminal investigations and prosecutions of narcotics and white-collar offenses in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania. Welcome, Mr. Talante and Nicole. How are the two of you doing?
Doing well. Thank you for having us.
Lord have mercy. This has been a show. I invite these conversations and I'm just like, wow, where are we going? So what do the two of you have to offer to us today on WURD?
Well, Andrew, I'll just kick this up. I want to thank you so much again, you and Word Radio, for having me on again. We're just 69 days away from Election Day, so I appreciate you allowing me to uplift the important message of Wake Up Black Youth.
Man, Nicole, are you hearing the people, though? Are you listening to the conversations that I've been having?
Yes. Yes, I have.
It is so important.
Yes, and it's important. Yes, a lot of your last calls, when they were talking about holding elected officials accountable, that is so very important. I think sometimes we think of the election day as the end of the race.
Right.
That's just the beginning.
Right.
And we need to stay engaged and hold folks accountable and put systems in place to hold these elected officials accountable.
Yes.
But I don't want to go too far off, but yes, I've heard them. I listened. And why I'm here today is just to make sure that everyone knows that the NAACP is still here and still protecting and advocating for the rights of the African American community in the Commonwealth. there's so many different lawsuits that are popping up. It's hard to make sense of it all and keep track.
Right.
So today I'm so happy that one of the partners of Deckard Law Group is joining me. Deckard Law is spearheading one of our election protection lawsuits that basically is going to make sure that the state properly allocates the resources and sets forth the adequate measures so that voters don't have to choose between their health or casting their ballot. That's just not a
Mr. Talante, we need to talk to you.
Got a lot to say. So, nobody wants to hear from the lawyers because we get started, somebody's paying or something. So I appreciate you hearing from me. And Nicole has asked me to come on the show just to give an update on terms of what some of the cases are, but more importantly than that, to really tell folks what they need to be doing now to ensure that they're able to vote safely, and also that their vote can actually count. It's not just voting; it's making sure that it actually gets counted.
Right, because 500,000 votes were thrown out in the primaries.
I mean, there's a lot that happened in the primaries, and that's one of the things that we're bringing out in our case. One issue we're really concerned about is the number of polling places that were closed down.
Yes.
I live in West Philly, and in this neighborhood, in Philadelphia, about 74% of the polling places closed down. So
yes.
Folks were going to their old places, finding out that it was closed. They didn't know where to go, and there was a lot of frustration. And as you imagine, people are concerned about their safety, their well-being because of the pandemic. And the pandemic has hit Black and brown folks. Forget about voting, just in general. More than any other group of people. So, we wanted to be able to give some practical advice so that people, I feel like it's empowering, right?
Yes.
We think about Congressman John Lewis and Good Trouble and all the getting beaten down in Selma. They did all that so people can be able to vote, and we want to make sure that's safeguarded. So we're happy to share whatever we can.
All right. So what do you have for us? What do we need to know, and how are we safeguarding our votes for the November 3rd elections?
Nicole, you want to take start, and I can add on to that. No, or I could go. One of the first things is that you've got to have a voting plan. So everyone, the way I think I've heard State Senator Hughes describe is that you got to take your own hill. So make sure, and I think Michelle Obama said this at the convention. She said, you got to make sure you have a plan not just for yourself, but for your mama, for your cousin, for the person next to you in church. How they're going to vote. There's no point leaving it until then. And so one thing we recommend very strongly is that you apply for a mail-in ballot today. There's nothing to stop anybody from applying right now. And I know we'll talk a little about some of the issues with the Postal Service, but we think that it's really important that people, because the ballots themselves aren't ready, but there's nothing to stop someone, us from getting the application in. So that we're able to get it as quickly as possible, and then be able to return it. Or if we're not going to do that, have a plan about where you're going to vote. If you're going to vote in person, making sure, and that's what our case is about in part, is making sure that the state tells people which voting locations are going to be open, give people notice, and disseminate that as widely as possible.
And what is the date that they have to let us know? Because I still feel like we are in... I still feel like we're in limbo here. What exact date are people going to know where their polling places are? When are people going to hear back from the state or from the city that their mail-in ballots were, their application for a mail-in ballot was accepted? Because my husband and I sent in we're now into 5 weeks ago now. Haven't heard anything. So are they holding on until they know exactly what is going on? I don't know.
Yeah. On the in-person voting, one of the issues we had in the primary is that they gave folks only 15 days notice about what's open and what's not. And, you got to remember, a lot of people don't have the internet because many people use the libraries for that. They were closed. And also they couldn't go to the county commissioner's office because of COVID. So we're asking that the notice be farther out. Now, they haven't told us. There's been no announcement about when that's going to happen. One of the issues that's an issue is the lack of poll workers. So a lot of what happened in the primary is that many of our poll workers, as I think your prior guests talk about how the political establishment has been embedded for years. A lot of people working at the polls have been doing it for generations. So they tend to be older. And they didn't show up in the primary. And so one thing the city's trying to do is, and other organizations try to recruit people to be poll workers, so that you can open up those locations. They can't be open without people able to work the polls.
Got it.
Sign you in, because we all many of us sit in our homes. You don't want to talk to anybody. Right. Working at a polling location where people are coming to you.
Right.
People you don't know day in, for 12, 14 hours.
Right.
So the most important thing is trying to recruit poll workers. And on the mail-in application, this should be able to be tracked. I mean, and I can give you. I'll send it.
Let me take a quick break, and then I'll let you give me the tracking, how we can track the mail-in applications. Can you hold on for a second, please? All right.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WordRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Just one more step. You got it.
You're doing great. This is the sound of a nationally ranked top rehabilitation hospital, home to the largest collection of robotics in the United States, where we continually exceed patient expectations, because no injury is too severe or too minor for our care.
There you go.
This is the sound of success. Moss Rehab. Challenge accepted.
Are you hungry today? Have your taste buds been sufficiently pampered? Call Eatable Delights for succulent and juicy turkey wings, no-filler crab cakes, or tender smoky beef ribs. You can pick up curbside or get delivery in Philadelphia, Montgomery, South Jersey, Delaware, and Bucks County. Call 215-236-3900 or stop by 1540 Wadsworth Avenue. That's 215-236-3900, because even your taste buds deserve pampering. And tell them Solomon Jones sent you.
Always Best Care is a great place to work. Flexibility,
leadership, purpose,
great benefits.
There's never a dull moment.
Diversity, inclusion, compasión.
We love our jobs. If you're looking for a great place to work, you can join our compassionate Team Green. You can apply online at teamgreenabc.com or call 267-909-9248.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Family Therapy Vignette Moments with Dr. Lucille Ijoy.
When the coronavirus is over, what will you have to show for it? A cleaner home, yoga lessons you took online, old pictures of family members, a body a little bigger and heavier, too many refrigerator trips, eating too much, sad memories of family and friends who died, or new babies born, talking on Zoom or other platforms with friends and clients, or my new job. Learn to stop rushing here and there. Just start talking and playing with your folks. Maybe you got pregnant physically or pregnant with new ideas. May God bless you with peace for great living. Coronavirus is almost over. Folks, what will you have to show for it?
You're listening to The Source
On Word Radio.
96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining us, I have Nicole Keels Magruder and Sozi Pedro Talante on the line with us, talking about the voting rights, how they are working to make sure that the federal government do exactly what they say they're supposed to be doing, so that people aren't missing out on their votes in this upcoming election. Welcome back to the both of you.
Thank you.
Continue, Pedro. Tell us what else we need to know about the tracking of our mail-in ballots. So when we mail the stuff in, how do we track it?
So there's a website that if you go to, and it's a long one, but it's at the State Department has a website that you can track what your status is if you've applied for a mail-in ballot. While you were on break, I tested mine just to make sure it was working, and I'd applied for it, and I'm now pending because there's been no mail-in ballot actually sent. So what's the way they have it right now is that, we know you got an application, we know you want to vote by mail, but we can't send you a ballot yet until it's been finalized.
Right.
And they haven't set a date, but, the instruction, as soon as you get it, fill it out and send it back. Okay. There are other ways to vote by mail or vote using a mail-in ballot that we're not discussing because that's part of a lawsuit. There are a couple lawsuits involved.
Got it.
These are drop boxes.
Yes.
One consideration is being able to use a drop box, which is secure, which is, is sort of allows people to feel the security of saying, I don't trust the mail, so I don't want to put it in a mailbox and don't know when they're going to get it.
Right.
I don't want to be in person, so this is a compromise, sort of. But again, that's the Trump campaign has filed a lawsuit to try to stop that from being distributed.
Okay.
And that lawsuit, even though it's been on hold in federal court, that issue is now potentially before the Pennsylvania Supreme Court.
Lord.
So I haven't been telling people about that aggressively because I don't want to know they're going to be in slot boxes. They may not be available.
Right.
And the other issue is like these early voting centers where they're set up where you can go request a ballot, fill in a ballot and hand it in all in one trip. And again, that's also an issue that's up for litigation. And I'm hoping that those are two ways that for many of your audience members who are worried about their voting rights, they can use to vote.
Right.
But again, until these lawsuits have been resolved, I can't really advise people to do that and plan for it.
Now, let me ask you, what's the website for people if they want to track if their applications were received?
Yeah, so you want to go to it's pavoterservices.pa.gov, and then it's /pages/ballot-tracking.aspx.
So /pages/ballot-tracking.
.aspx. So that will allow you to,
okay.
Yeah. So pavoterservices.pa.gov and then /pages/
So pavoterservices.pa.gov. Okay. I just want to make sure because I'm going to put it on the social media page so that people can see.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so that they can.
So we can mail it to you.
Okay.
To just make sure you have it.
Okay.
That asks for your first name, last name, date of birth, county. You submit it, and they'll tell you whether you've applied, whether it's pending. And that way, you have some certainty that they received it, right? You have some.
Yes. Okay,
so
great.
I hope you can do that too. So
Thank you. I've been asking this for weeks. You're the first person that was able to tell me how to track, that information. Okay.
Yeah, that's a way to do that.
All right. So what else do you have for us so that people know? Oh gosh.
One thing I want to say, and I know we've overlooked this when we talk about vote by mail and so forth, is that folks need to get registered to vote. There are a lot of people out there who, and one of the things I do is I see if I talk to somebody who was involved in Black Lives Matter marching and marching against police violence, I often ask them did you vote? Are you registered to vote? And because registering to vote and voting is
two different things. Yes.
It's a dance. Right? You can protest all you want. If you want to be able to make some of those changes, you need to be able to register. And so, the registration deadline is 15 days before Election Day. So I think this year is October 19th. But, folks should be able to do that now.
Right.
Even if I think Pennsylvania, some of the wrong information is like if you're formerly incarcerated, you can't vote.
That's not true.
But no, that's not true. A lot of people they self-identify and therefore tell themselves they can't vote.
So if you have been formerly incarcerated, you can vote. Please hear that, right? Don't let anybody tell you that you cannot vote in the state of Pennsylvania. If you've been formerly incarcerated, you are able to vote. Go register to vote, please. Yes.
So folks need to be able to register to vote.
Yes.
Hopefully there are drives being done through churches or other community groups, because at the end of the day, we won't worry about mail-in ballot or in-person voting if you're not registered.
Right.
And we haven't heard a lot of that, and I want to just emphasize that as well.
Okay. Anything else to add to the coffers?
Nicole?
Sure. Susie, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
So just want everybody grab a pen and paper. Remember the most important dates that are coming up. October 19th is the last day to register to vote. If you haven't registered for a long time or if you moved, please go online and verify that you're active in the system. The last day to request your mail-in ballot is October 27th. But as Susie said, we encourage you to order it now. And please just be patient. Like you said, you'll see, if you use the tracker, you'll see that it's in pending status. You can also go to wakeupblackvote.com and click on mail-in ballot, click on that button, and it will take you right to the page that he mentioned.
Yes.
You scroll down and you can hit that ballot tracker.
Yes. So wakeupblackvote.com. Yes.
Yes.
That's probably easier.
Yes.
Very simple. Very simple.
Thank you, Kim. Some Kim on Facebook put it all up. Thank you, Kim. Appreciate you. Yes, I love it. I love it. All right, so the last date to apply for and
November 3rd.
Election Day. Are you all ready for this? I mean, like really ready? Because you see they're giving you signs and signals that this is not going to be a delicious day, and that there's a lot getting ready to happen. Do we have everything in place that we need to? We're still in August. People might be sick and tired of hearing me discuss this, but it has to happen, because what I don't want to see is we get to the middle of October and everybody is scrambling to get there, to register to vote, to get their mail in. And come on, people. Come on.
Right.
Have a plan.
What you're doing right now is very powerful. It's about educating our community and doing it early and often.
Yes.
They need to keep hearing accurate information to combat all of this disinformation that's going around. So what you are doing is exactly what needs to be done, and everybody in the community needs to do the same thing in their sphere of influence. So if we keep articulating accurate information to our community, we will be in good shape when it's time for us to vote.
I agree. I'm hoping that the little bit that I'm doing on my end is going to work, because, we are trying so hard, and which is why I told you, anytime you want to come on and discuss something, please call a sister, okay? Go get on Brianna's calendar and come on in here, bring in the people that you need to bring in for me to talk to. And I'm serious. I am so serious. I am a woman of my word if I'm not anything else, right? And so when we talked about this weeks ago, I meant everything that I said, right?
Yes,
because
yes, you have lived up to it.
I have. I absolutely have, because I really want people I want to give people a voice to talk about what is on their minds as it applies to voting, and I want to give them the accurate information so that they know exactly where to go when it's time, And so I'm encouraging them now. Please do it now. If you have the wherewithal to do it now, register to vote. Don't wait until the deadline. Apply for your mail-in ballots now. Please. It's August 25th, 24th, whatever day this is. I've just lost track of time in COVID here. And I just don't want us to wait until October. What I would love to hear, Nicole and Pedro, is this. Oh, it's October. We already did that. We're just waiting for voting day. Oh, I already sent in my vote. I want to hear people say that. And I'm under no illusion that everybody's going to vote. I am not even going there. But the people who have intentions of voting, who has the inkling to vote, I really want them to step up to the plate and do what needs to be done, because every single vote matters, right?
Exactly.
Everyone.
Exactly.
All right. I want to thank you both so much for calling in. Please keep bringing the people to me, Nicole. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us, and there'll be a lot of updates with legislation.
Yes. Okay, Mr. Talante. So good. You and Nicole come back when you have the updates, please, and make sure you let Brianna know that these are updates so that people in the WRD listening audience can hear, so we know where we're going and what we have to do. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay.
You are listening to The Source, 96.1. I'm actually early today. 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WordRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. Thank you all so much. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for bearing with me. I am very aware that I don't know all things. I am learning as much as I possibly can about African American history. I'm learning as much as I can about history here. I'm Googling. I am doing YouTube. I'm doing all sorts of things. I'm getting all kinds of information. I am well versed in one area. I am not so well versed in the others. So I am willing to listen. The only thing I ask of you is that you call. When you call me, you direct me to the places where I need to go look, so I can do my own research, so that I can have an intelligent conversation with you, right? What you will not get on this radio show is a bunch of back and forth and arguing. It's counterproductive, y'all, and it takes up a lot of energy. And in my teachings, I tell my students, don't. If you wake up with $100 worth of energy, don't expend $85 of it before you even get out of bed, because you're using a lack of emotional intelligence, fussing and fighting with people. You look at things and say, what do I need to understand and gain from this? And we will move. Yes, thank you. We will move forward. So I am going to take a quick break, and then we are going to step up to the plate and get the rest of this show going. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Fridays, it's right here on Word Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with Daybreak, hosted by Halana. At 7, it's time to wake up with Word,
with host Solomon Jones.
Then at 10, it's a special edition of The Source
with Tiffany Bacon.
Followed by Groundings at 1 p.m., hosted by Brothers Shamari.
At 4 p.m.,
it's Laborers Live, hosted by Lessit. Then at 5, it's Solutions on Word. At 7 p.m., it's the Envy McKee Show. Then at 10, it's Freedom Sounds of Jazz, followed up by Messages in the Music, hosted by Joey Temple.
Fridays are something special
on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live at wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app.
Your daughter got her learner's permit, so you're getting her favorites at McDonald's to celebrate. And you let her drive. Now, if you could just make it to the drive-thru. Enjoying the journey together? That's something to value. Make a quick breakfast stop at McDonald's, where a tasty Chicken McGriddles and McChicken Biscuit are just $2 each. Prices and participation may vary, cannot be combined with combo meal.
Hey, Word family. Our friends at Amoroso's Baking Company are hiring right now. Amoroso's has been baking the delicious bread in our community for over 100 years, and they want you to join their team today. The old and the young love Amoroso's, and they are hiring right now. Check it out. They offer fair pay and provide health, dental, and prescription plans after 90 days employment. Call 856-754-0355 or visit amorososbaking.com for details. COVID-19, rising infections, red alert levels, and worries about reopening. What can you do? The Germ Killer's two-step products and services disinfect and protect for up to 90 days to give you peace of mind. The Germ Killer's system kills viruses and bacteria on high-touch surfaces in schools, houses of worship, businesses, and public transportation. Decontaminate immediately and keep students, school staff, congregations, or customers safe for months. Go to thegermkillers.com and get the coverage and safety you deserve.
You're listening to The Source on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Welcome back to The Source. It is now 2:58 p.m. and it's 90 degrees outside. It is smoking. Listen, y'all, I am so appreciative of everything that you have all contributed to this show. There is no source without all of you contributing in the way that you have, even when we don't agree. Okay, so I am moving now to, and I am looking forward to this conversation. Deborah Keys Wright is on today with two phenomenal young black CEOs who will talk about the code switching paradigm as we continue to address racist behavior even in the workplace. These two black CEOs will discuss their climb to the C-suite. Yes, Lord. Personal experiences of code switching in the workplace. They also offer insights on whether code switching is necessary for career success and survival. They are Sean Boynes and Michelle Mills-Clement. Michelle Mills-Clement is the CEO of the Chicago Association of Realtors. An experienced association executive, she previously served as president and CEO of the Commercial Brokers Association and association executive for the Washington State Commercial Association of Realtors. She's an active member of Association Forum of Chicagoland and ASAE, the Center for Association Excellence, where she was recently named to their prestigious Fellows Program. Michelle is also a scholar in the Diversity Executive Leadership Program with ASAE. A native Chicagoan, she enjoys political campaign fundraising and volunteer management. She was integral in the election of Congresswoman Robin Kelly, Democrat, Illinois, 2nd Congressional District. Yes. In 2019, she was elected trustee for Bradley University. She's also active in their Black Alumni Alliance. Come on, sis. She's an active member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. She holds a bachelor's degree in communications from Bradley University and a master's degree in nonprofit management from DePaul University. She has a certificate in commercial real estate from the University of Washington and earned the Certificated Association Executive CAE certification from the American Society of Association Executives. I can't wait for this conversation. Sean E. Boynes has 25 years of association management experience and currently serves as executive director of the American Association for Anatomy in Rockville, Maryland. Prior to joining the American Association for Anatomy, he served as senior director education for the Association for Professionals in Infection Control and Epidemiology. Lord, black people, gosh, where he led a team to develop live and online learning programs for the association's 14,000 members. During his career, he has worked for a broad variety of other associations, including the Minority Corporate Council Association, Greater Washington Society of Association Executives, American Trucking Associations, the Association of Corporate Counsel. He is very active with American Society of Associations Executive, ASAE, and served on its board of directors from 2014 to 2017. Sean was also named an ASAE Fellow in 2017. He served on the Certified Association Executive Commission, Professional Development Section Council, and Healthcare Community Committee. Sean is a 2008-2009 ASAE Diversity Executive Leadership Program Scholar. Mr. Boynes earned his Bachelor of Business Administration from Howard University, HU. Deborah, Sean, and Michelle are all part of a Diversity Executive Leadership Program through the American Society of Association Executives. Deborah will set the stage talking about DELP and how the program provides the association community with increased access to a diverse pool of talented leaders. Dear God up in heaven, this is going to be a good conversation. Hello to all of you.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much for having us on.
That's an intro.
Listen, I don't know.
One heck of an intro.
Listen, I don't know what Deborah told you, so what did Deborah tell you?
She said you are a force to be reckoned with, and thus far you are proving her right.
Well, there we go. Well, we can start this whole conversation. All right, Deborah. I'm buckling into my seat because I love a good, intelligent, intensive conversation, right? And I feel one coming on in my soul. Okay. Deborah, introduce DELP. Tell them what DELP is, how you all got together, and then we'll move into the other part of the conversation.
All right. I'm so excited for Sean and Michelle to share their brilliance with you. But the Diversity Executive Leadership Program, I am just so blessed to actually be the first scholar selected for this program in the state of Michigan. Of course, that's my hometown.
Right.
And so back in 2004. But right now, as of today, we have about 219 scholars.
Wow.
And with this program, it was graciously supported by the Detroit Metro Convention and Visitors Bureau, led by now retired Larry Alexander.
Right.
But it is when you're talking about ASAE, we use a lot of acronyms. So forgive us, but it is the American Society of Association Executives. They created this program of DELP really to reach out to help diversify associations. Because as you know, most associations are run by old white men. Sorry about that, but not.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. We are now diversifying this, and so DELP is really looking to develop motivated leaders to fuel this organization's success, and also to let the community of associations know that there are some talented people of color who can run these associations. So to be a part of DELP, you have to be a part of an identified underrepresented group in the association community, which includes people of color, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender people, and people with disabilities. And so you have to fall within that category. And it really looks to focus on let's see how I want to say this, focus on creating CEOs. Not everyone has to be a CEO.
Right.
If you're at the mid to senior level, association level, you can apply to be a DELP scholar. And it is right now they're 2-year programs.
Okay.
And the information is right on the website, just asaecenter.org to get more information out of there.
And this is a national program, correct?
It is a national, international too. It's an international program. But what is so invaluable about DELP, which all three of us can say, is the networking opportunity with diverse leaders all around the country. These opportunities, of course, create long-lasting personal and professional relationships. And so it's always good that you will have someone to count on to mentor you, to guide you if you want to, change jobs or if you lose your job. You have this pool of scholars that you can lean on, which is just phenomenal. It is priceless.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, right now, ASAE is celebrating 100 years of building a better, safer, and smarter world. And I'm just going to highlight just a few areas of where associations impact world history that we can relate to. So just quickly, 1920, the passage of the 19th Amendment.
Yes.
That was the National American Women's Suffrage Association. 1954, the Montgomery bus boycott. That was the Montgomery Improvement Association. 1954, Brown v. Board of Education, NAACP. 61, Freedom Riders, NAACP. 63 to 65, the March on Washington and passage of the Civil Rights Act and Voting Rights Act, NAACP. 1968, the passage of the Fair Housing Act, NAACP, and the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, and the National Association of Realtors, and the National Association of Home Builders. There's an association just about for everything.
Yes.
Okay, in 1970, the National Organization for Women on Women's Rights and Equality. And so that was, of course, called NOW. That's the acronym. 1973, the passage of the Education for All Handicapped Children. That's the National Education Association, NEA. 1973, Gay Rights Milestone. This was the American Psychiatric Association, which they approved a resolution in 1973 affirming, this is crazy here, affirming that homosexuality is not a mental illness or sickness. Good for them, 2001, the 9/11 terrorist attack. We had the American Counseling Association, the American Rescue Dog Association, and the National Roofing Contractors Association, of course, that helped repair and replace the Pentagon's roof. 2005 is the Hurricane Katrina. We had the American Bus Association and the National Association of Realtors. 2014 to 16, the Ebola outbreak in West Africa. There was an Association of Public Health Laboratories. 2016 to 19, the opioid epidemic. We have the American Association of Nurse Practitioners, American Society of Addiction Medicine, and the American College of Emergency Physicians. And 2016, the Flint water crisis.
Yes, which is still ongoing.
Just one more after this one. The United Association of Journeymen and Apprentices of the Plumbing and Pipe Fitting Industry. And as we know, NAACP filed that class lawsuit action, and just recently they settled. There was a settlement for $600 million.
Wow.
For those affected by the Flint water crisis.
Yes.
And the last one, 2020, PPE shortage. The American Association of Occupational Health Nurses and the Association for Creative Industry. See, there is associations for everything. And we are in these associations as well. And these two association executives that you're going to hear speak with, they will be able to share their journey. And I never thought I would work for an association, but I have 21 years of experience with associations. And I knew that was a good fit for me because they're mission driven. And I knew that was the type of work I needed to do. I needed to have purpose. I didn't want it to be a job. It needed to be something that was so much a part of who I am. And that's what the association life is like. Yeah.
So
there we go.
All right.
There we go.
So Sean and Michelle, let's talk, shall we?
Yes. Let's go.
We're going to have a conversation. Thank you, Deborah. We're going to now have a conversation about code switching. Woo-hoo. I'm taking a deep breath. Yes, Lord, Father God. Okay. Where do you want to start and who wants to start? Because, Lord, that's a whole conversation by itself.
You know, we had this conversation on our last episode. We have a web series called Text to Tables, where we talk about issues that, you know, as black CEOs that we face. And so we just talked about code switching. So I think we're ready. We're all in. But one of the things that came up as a theme, I think, across all four of us on that show was how all of us have code switched in some capacity, and it has helped us get to where we are in our careers. We'd be remiss to say that it was a factor in us rising, and whether that is code switching from appearance to sound of your voice, you know, what activities you're involved in, and how you choose your network, we've all touched it, and it's been a benefit.
Right.
What I think has transpired, though, is wanting to feel authentic and wanting to really feel true to yourself. And code switching isn't always meaning that you're being fake and that you're not representing who you are. It's adapting to what your environment is at the time.
And so there are people who would argue, because I have been with the University of Pennsylvania, and I'm going to tell some more stuff on myself, for almost 20 years have been with the University of Pennsylvania, Dr. Jarvis, working on workshops with young people for this very same thing, right? And one of the things that the young students would say to me is, well, you know, I feel like I'm taking away from my identity if I quote-unquote code switch. I'm not sure if I really like the term code switching so much, but they haven't come up with a better term for it. And so I explained to them this way. I said, I sat on a school board for 8 years. I speak Patois fluently, right? And they asked me what Patois was. And so I started speaking to them in Patois. What you deal with, boy? What the boy? I said, what is that? And they looked at me and said, what did you just say? I said, there you go. So just because in the environments that I'm sitting in, when I go to the school board meeting and I know where I am sitting and who I am talking to, Patois is just not going to work there. Right? And so I explained to them in simple terms, that's what code switching is. I also explained to them that when I walk away from the dais and I'm done with my school board meeting, or I'm done working with superintendents or police officers, that I am Andrea. I'm always Andrea. I'm not changing who I am, right? I'm just always doing what I need to do in that moment to get where I need to go. And that has been a problem for a lot of people. They consider that selling out. Right? But what we've not recognized in Jamaica, somebody in Jamaica is calling my name, in America is that people are judging us from the moment we step into a room. They make all sorts of assumptions about us, you know, before we even open our mouths. And so we have to, what I'm saying to people is, don't sell out your soul. That's not what I'm asking you to do. But I'm asking you to adapt in the environments that you're in, and as much as you're able to move forward so you can get to another place. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And my response to that is, we get in how we fit in. And we are trying to navigate systems that weren't set up for us.
Yes.
And when we break into, you know, I refer to these ivory circles. When we break into these ivory circles, in many instances, we're the first one or the only one.
Yes.
So in order for you to survive, you got to play by their rules.
Yes.
And there's learning that goes along with that. And one of the things that, you know, I think Michelle and I are committed to, and many other black professionals, now that we've broken into many of these circles and we are sitting in the top seat, we can then pave the way for others so that it's a little easier for them coming behind us because we've figured out how to work the system. So we can help them avoid stepping on some of the landmines because there are certain things that we just don't know because we've not been there before.
Right.
You know, there's an interesting statistic that I came across. It was in an article that I read recently. So black people make up 13.4% of the population, but we only represent 8% of white-collar professionals.
Yep.
And when you take a look at it from the corporate perspective, there are only 4 black CEOs in the Fortune 500.
4.
Period. 4. That's it. So the numbers still aren't there, and we still have a long way to go. But to my point, we get in how we fit in. If they don't feel comfortable with us, they're going to put up more roadblocks. They're not going to let us in. Or if you do get in, they're going to make it more difficult for you to be successful. So to your point, I think, yes, you have to know, for me, it's been when to turn it on and when to use it to your benefit.
Yes, honey.
To gain success.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, Lord, Michelle, what do you have to
I think it has become something that has been so fluid for me. And it scares me sometimes. I've had situations where I'm on the phone and I'll hear myself talking. Like, did my voice just get super proper? I mean, and then you turn it off and then it's not. And it's jolting at times, but it was a growth period for me when I wanted to really understand. I was doing this so subconsciously, and it was like, why?
Yes.
Why? Why are you doing this? Is this a part of you? Is this who you are?
Right.
Is this selling out? Is this who you are in this environment? Is this who you are in another environment? And I think it was through that work and that self-discovery, and to Sean's point, is you getting where you fit in.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that you're selling out. It doesn't mean that you're not true to yourself. Like you said, you use what works for that particular environment. And, people can say things around, like, how you dress, how you wear your hair. For Black women, that's huge. And I've shared this story about how during COVID, all the salons were closed. I get my hair done every 2 weeks.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, what am I about to do? So I went and got some braids. I got some box braids. And I haven't had braids in, like, 20-plus years. And I was super self-conscious about being a CEO and what my membership base is going to think about me being in braids.
Really?
I was definitely there. And I don't know if COVID hadn't been there, if I would have. Because it was always like, a vacation hairdo or something like that.
Right.
But I always wanted to wear them since I haven't worn them since college. And when I did, it felt so freeing. Like, A, you didn't have to do my hair, so that was great.
Right.
I worked out and everything. But I looked fly. I felt good. I felt like, man, these are hot. I'm rocking them. And so, but I started getting phone calls from other Black women, CEOs or executives that were like, oh, my God, Michelle, you're wearing braids. I wanted to get some, and I haven't.
Right.
Who braided your hair? I want to do it.
See?
And more people are saying, like, I want to get braids now. You know how it is. And then I thought, like, how trivial this is, but I can't act like I didn't feel it, too.
Right. So, what, Michelle?
And I got like that.
Yeah. You know what, Michelle? You said something that was pretty poignant for me, because one of the things we have to learn in the process of quote-unquote code switching is when to stand our ground, right? Of the things that means so much to us. So the interesting thing, and I'm going to share this with the both of you, is, so I'm raised in a culture where we were taught, we were not allowed to speak patois in the house, right? Telling them myself, mother and father said, when you're in this house, you are to enunciate your words and speak the Queen's English, to the point where when I came to America, people didn't know exactly where I was from. Like, you don't sound like you were born here, but you're not, And so my mother would always say, because, there are Jamaicans that live here that you still can't understand them. The patois is so heavy. But we were taught from little girls to make sure, right? The other thing was, I was always taught that if you wear a T-shirt out of your house, other than to go to the gym, you're not dressed. So I show up to the radio station dressed every single day.
I still do that.
Right? Dressed every single day. And it has opened doors just from the way I carry myself, my carriage, the way that I dress. I mean, I could easily wear a T-shirt and a pair of jeans to come in here, but that's not me. And so I was not willing to compromise and wear a T-shirt and jeans because everybody else was doing it and they felt comfortable in it. For me, it was, I'm standing my ground. You understand what I'm saying? So there are ways, there are little ways that we can stand our ground, ways large and small, really. So, wow. So is code switching different in the C-suite for a male versus a female? I have to ask you guys this.
What do you think, Sean?
That's a good question. I don't think so for us, because it is what it is. We tend to be one of, I may be the only Black man in the room, Michelle may be the only Black woman in the room, but they see us as, you're different from us, and there's the evaluation of, okay, how are you showing up? So that goes to how we're dressed,
Right.
You know, how we carry ourselves. And, you know, you've probably heard this before. Do you have that executive presence?
Yes.
And
yes.
I remember, you know, being very self-conscious of how I entered into the room, especially with networking reception, because there have been times when I'm in a room full of all CEOs, and they're looking at me like, is he supposed to be here?
Wow.
You know, because I may not have, you know, met many of them, but if I show up, I'm suited up, I'm buttoned up.
Yes.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm supposed to be in here.
Right.
But that is always something I'm thinking about because, once again, those are systems that are not set up for us. Now, the more of us that get in there, we can knock down some of those barriers.
Absolutely.
But there's still those challenges. So I would say, no, I don't think there's a difference between, you know, men and women other than for, you know, I don't have any hair. You can't see that, of course, but I'm bald.
Right.
You know, for women, y'all have the hair issue in many instances. So I think that's another layer of complexity that comes into all of this.
Right. That is so.
I think it's around. I think maybe the little difference is because of, you know, just male and female. And there are barriers that women are still facing. At the end of the day, the first thing you see, be clear, is that we're Black.
Yes.
And that is seen first and foremost. So I think that is a very equal playing field. But I've had, like, some team members mention to me, like, how easy it is for men. They can just wear a suit, you know what I mean, and always dress up in a suit. And women would have to figure out, like, what's the appropriate wear here.
Yes.
In some cases, a woman wore a dress, and someone said, oh, your dress is too tight. In another case, someone wore, you know, a suit coat, and they're like, oh, you should have a blouse on and not a cami. So I've heard a lot of that. So you don't hear that. You know, with men at most, you don't have a tie.
Yes.
Or your shirt's unbuttoned.
Or Michelle,
added pressure.
Or Michelle, they tell you have to wear pearls. So anytime I go into an executive meeting, I have on pearls. I have on my pearl necklace. I have on pearl earrings. There is but my presence is not shifting. So I may wear the black suit or the navy blue suit with the white shirt. But when you're going to feel my presence when I walk in, right? So you're right, that executive look. And they're looking for a certain way for us to carry ourselves. Hold on one second. I have to take a quick break. This is a good conversation, y'all, and I'm hoping people are listening. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WordRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD 215. And Willie, is Willie still on? Oh, poor Willie. I'll get him when I come back. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we'll be right back after these messages.
If you want to start your morning with mindfulness, motivation, and inspiration, tune in to Daybreak with me, Helana, here on WURD Radio, Monday to Friday from 6 to 7 a.m. I'm a health and wellness coach with over 15 years experience helping people to transform their lives. On the show, we talk health and wellness 360, from getting your mind right to getting your money right. So let's rise and shine together right here on WURDradio.com, 96.1 FM, 900 on your AM dial on Daybreak every morning.
Recovery starts with a call. Pennsylvania's Substance Use Disorder Hotline is staffed by real people who are trained to help. They're here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They'll get you or your loved one into treatment regardless of your access to insurance. If you or someone you know is suffering from addiction, call 1-800-662-HELP. Recovery starts with a call.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Want the latest in Word swag?
Check out the shop tab on WordRadio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop.
I appreciate
my pleasure. My pleasure. I think this all comes back to emphasis on education. I think code switching. When I was obtaining my master's in elementary education from the college out on the main line, we had a discussion about code switching because we were going to be in the public schools for 4 days, and we were in class getting our master's in elementary education for the Philadelphia public school system, and we had a discussion on code switching. But I think all of this and your show is very, very powerful.
Thank you.
I think you are sincere. I think you are powerful as a woman, and the sincerity comes through each and every show you present.
Thank you.
What I did want to say is I think, and I brought this to your show last week or 2 weeks ago about the 450,000 votes that need to come out of Philadelphia and Pittsburgh in order for Pennsylvania to be in Biden's camp. And what needs to happen is, again, it goes back to education. And it goes back to education because ward leaders, unfortunately, former Congressman Bob Brady, who basically runs the city of Philadelphia, hasn't gotten the word out about the need for the votes to come out of Philadelphia in order to offset Alabama, Pennsylvania.
Kentucky.
The code switching is a very important aspect because when we get into those suites, when we get into the upper echelon of the boardrooms, we have to be able to express ourselves. We have to be able to use code. We have to use King's language, King's English, in order to express ourselves. I think it's also important that the leaders that come on your show know and understand that they have an obligation, they have a responsibility, they have a real duty, and that is to bring people behind them that look like them, so that when they retire, when it is time for them to step down, there is someone who is prepared to take up that mantle and take up our rights that have been denied us for 450 years. All too often in our leadership, our black organization, we have had leaders that don't want to step down, that don't want to say I'm ready to retire,
or to mentor,
they don't have anyone prepared to step up to the mantle to take their spot. So it really comes down to education. And I think if our community really embraces education in terms of voting, electoral college versus the popular vote, which a lot of people still don't understand. And if they can understand that, then they can understand that this is a very, very, very significant election, that we have to come out and vote. We have to show up at the polls. We have to have mail-in voting, and we have to show that while Biden is not the perfect candidate, he's the best that we have at this
right
time.
now. Yes, thank you so much, Willie.
I really believe that our community really needs to take up the mantle of education.
Agreed. Thank you so much, Willie. Thank you so much. Sean, Michelle, and Deborah, are we missing the mark when we're not mentoring? And are we mentoring young people to take up the mantle when we are out of our spots, or are we running into people because we're seeing so many people in the C-suites that it's just one of us, right? I have deliberately engaged with black women in and out of America that are in the C-suite. And I've been coaching a few of them, but some of them are my peers. Right? And we have these kinds of conversations all the time. What are we doing? How are we giving back? Right? Versus just taking what's been given to us and utilizing it to our own benefit. That's the first question I have for you. Are we mentoring enough? A. And B, here's my other question. Where is code switching detrimental at some aspects of our lives?
I'll answer the first question. So I think I can answer the second one too, but I'll stick with this one. I think we are mentoring enough because I think people understand that so many of us are the first, but we don't want to be the last.
Right.
We want to bring other people along with us. And I've always had this philosophy that I'm going to help anyone I can come up with me, past me, however it looks. And the biggest, accomplishment for me is where the rest of the team goes and how far we get them along. There are so many opportunities to mentor, and it doesn't have to be a formalized program.
Exactly.
I think it's sometimes when you just interact with someone, with a young woman, with a young man, and not even a young woman or man, anybody really,
yes.
that's aspiring to a role you have or someone that you see potential in that they may not have even known that they had. I've seen countless women, I joke and say they were in the sunken place, Black women, where I'm like, you could be doing so much more than where you've been put. And I try to pull that out because people did that for me.
Right.
I had people that pushed me out before I was ready. And where it might have been terrifying, it was a life lesson. And so I try to give that same energy back.
That's amazing. Michelle, you brought up something for me where I saw, school districts across the Commonwealth have been trying to hire more people, Black people, and this one young lady showed up for a job resource fair, and her outfit was different. She had orange and purple hair. Her nails were way out, and so I pulled her off to the side and I said, "On paper, you look amazing. See their faces?" And I said, just surreptitiously look at their faces when they look at you. And she said, "Well, what's wrong with how I look?" I said, "Nothing wrong with how you look, but do you want to get that job over there? Do this with me." And so I walked her through the process. She showed up for that interview because, they had already written her off, right? She showed up for that interview. They were like, "Whoa," and got the job.
Good for her.
If we judge folks without helping, you know what I mean? Like, I could have looked at her and said, "Lord Jesus, now this is not going to work. Lord, we're not going," but we have to figure out ways to support and help each other. Sometimes it's not well received, though,
Yeah.
Sometimes we try to help people and they say, "Well, who do you think you are? Blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, do you want to move from here, from A to B? I'm going to help you get from A to B. People help me get from A to B,
And I'll comment on that because I hear a lot of people say, "I don't want to change who I am. Like, I want to keep, my purple hair." And you can. You definitely can. There's definitely places for you where you can be. And I think it's just understanding what road you're trying to go down. And if you're trying to, work in certain spaces where that's not necessarily the culture, I could say, or the norm, I could say, it doesn't mean you can't still attempt to bring it in.
Right.
But you have to recognize there may be a ceiling that you hit as a result. But as long as you feel true to yourself and you feel like you haven't sold yourself out, you feel like you know who you are, and if they don't want to be with you where you are, if that's with purple hair or whatever, that's on you. And you just have to be in that space to really live with that.
Exactly. And so you can't moan and complain when you see people passing you by and you're wondering, "I'm more qualified than that person." I've heard that 1,000 times. On paper, I am more qualified than that person. But when I'm presenting myself, I'm argumentative. I don't listen when people talk to me. I'm not empathetic. I'm not a team leader. I'm all about myself. Like all these things, these core values that we continue to try to teach folks to get them beyond the degrees, right? Because on paper, it's wonderful. Other than that, what are you doing? Self-improvement. What does that look like? So.
Yeah. I can take the second part of that question. I wouldn't necessarily say it's detrimental. I would say code switching comes at a cost.
Come on.
I think you have to be willing to pay the price or not. And for me, I paid the price because what that does, it requires extra energy. And it requires you to always be mindful of how you show up, how you're, connecting the dots, if you will, because you can't influence change from the outside looking in. Once you get on the inside, go on ahead and start shaking things up, but you got to get in. So that's what I mean by there's a cost to pay for that. And I think that's also why, Michelle mentioned earlier, there are four of us, four Black CEOs that created this show, this web series, Text to Table. We did that because we wanted to share our experiences with the broader community and also give voice to other Black professionals. When we had our first episode, people were emailing us and texting us saying, "Oh my gosh, I feel seen." Because in many instances, they were the only ones in their organization or they weren't given the same opportunity. So we've all been through what we've been through, and it's like, here's what I learned from that. The other thing is it was also in response to what was happening in the country, the
Right.
racial unrest and George
Yes.
Floyd. And many people, you probably remember where you were, but many people showed up to work that Monday after the protesting started, and their bosses didn't even acknowledge that there was something that happened. And we were expected to show up to work and still perform. So that's what I mean by if you don't have a black CEO or a CEO with empathy that can say, you know what, I got you. Go on and do what you got to do. Like, this is too much for all of us to carry right now and still be, what some would consider professional.
Right.
No, we are experiencing trauma right now.
Yes.
So let's call it what it is. But yeah, there's a price to pay, and you have to be willing to pay the price. I am, because I want to make sure that I'm not the last one. I want to make sure that I'm setting the stage for others to follow, because the more of us that get in, then we're a force to be reckoned with.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But we got to get there.
Yes. I'm loving this conversation. Lord, Deborah, you want to add anything to this?
I'm telling you,
They're phenomenal. They are absolutely phenomenal. I am so stoked. Let me take Diane from South Philly. Diane, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, Mother. Oh, I'm enjoying your program.
Thank you.
I'm gonna be quick. I told my daughter something last week, and I thought I was wrong, but now I'm saying that I was right. So she was going for this job interview, and she had locks. I said, baby, you're going to have to put on a wig or something, because she couldn't get her hair done because of the pandemic. I said, girl, you're going to have to get you a wig. I said, get that wig. And I said, once you get yourself in that door, then you can take off that wig.
Yes.
And I say, first they're going to think that you're a radical, that's because people don't know better, you know? But I think I told her the right thing, did I?
Did she tell her the right thing? Sean and Michelle and Deborah?
I'm going to let Michelle answer that one, because
Michelle said, oh, this is going to be good.
Job.
Did she get the job?
No, she's still waiting. It was last week.
Okay, I said if she got the job, you told her the right thing.
Right.
I think it's such a gray area.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's such a gray area. I would be lying if I said you didn't have some truth to what you told her.
Yes.
And that's not a reflection of her. It's one of these unfortunate realities of where we have to conform ourselves to fit into someone else's narrative, where we have to assimilate to whatever that environment is that we're walking into to fit that narrative. And rip the wig off when you get in the room, yes. But if it's going to take away from you as who you are, and you want to go in there with your locks, whether they've been retwisted or done or not, if that's what's going to make you feel good about you, then do that.
Right.
And so we're in a place now where people are not conforming. They're not going to change who they are just to get in the door. And I think that used to be the approach. I think what's important now is if she can walk in that door with those locks, whether they've been redone or not, and they still hire her on her
merits,
her skills and her merit, then that's a place she wants to be.
Yes.
But if she goes in there and puts that wig on and comes back the next week without the wig, and then they're treating her different, or they're not respecting her, or they're not honoring her merit, then she didn't give herself the opportunity to see if this is even a place she wants to be comfortably.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So I think
exactly
it's, go in there,
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, Michelle, because then you come in the next week, and it is a distraction now. It's a total distraction. She's having to explain why
you had a different hairstyle the week before.
Exactly.
Yeah. So are you listening to this, Diane?
About hair.
Yes, I am.
There is a thing called the Crown Act.
Yes.
Where it is now, and I don't know exactly what state you're calling from or where and whatnot. It's illegal to discriminate against women, black women, because of their hair.
So it's been ratified in New York and California so far. The laws have been passed. They're still working on it in several other states. We're in Pennsylvania, so I'm not sure if they can still discriminate. I believe they can, depending on.
It's passed in California.
Yes, and in New York.
Yeah. In New York. Yeah.
Yeah. So the woman
that reason to pass it here.
Yeah. Listen. So, Diane, I hope that answered your question, okay?
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're quite welcome, my love. Have a good afternoon. Lord have mercy. So, you know what was so interesting? My oldest son is an executive. Let me take a quick break. Because it's 3:40. Let me take a quick break and then we'll come back because he wears locks and is an executive. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WordRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Are you hungry today? Have your taste buds been sufficiently pampered? Call Eatable Delights for succulent and juicy turkey wings, no-filler crab cakes, or tender smoky beef ribs. You can pick up curbside or get delivery in Philadelphia, Montgomery, South Jersey, Delaware, and Bucks County. Call 215-236-3900 or stop by 1540 Wadsworth Avenue. That's 215-236-3900 because even your taste buds deserve pampering. And tell them Solomon Jones sent you.
RG Electrical Inspections provides electrical inspections for realtors, licensed electricians, and homeowners. RG is a certified plans examiner and licensed underwriter providing assistance for PICO outages. RG is also listed on PICO's website. RG Electrical Inspections is a licensed and insured underwriter serving Philadelphia and surrounding areas. Call if you have plans to review today, 267-902-1655. The coronavirus continues to affect us all, and AARP is here in Philadelphia, actively supporting you and your community. Every day, they're providing trusted information from experts, working to protect people from fraud, supporting family caregivers, and making it easier for neighbors to help neighbors through the new AARP Community Connections website. Learn what AARP is doing to connect and support our community during this unprecedented time. We may be apart, but we're not alone. Click to connect at aarp.org/near you. You're listening to The Source on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Welcome back to The Source. My WURD listeners want to know what your podcast is. They want me to share it. What is it called?
Text.
Say that again.
Go ahead, Sean.
Text, plural, T-E-X-T-S.
T-E-X-T-S?
To table.
Text to table. I like it.
Yeah. And we gave it that name because when the George Floyd situation was going down, we started texting each other like, what are you going to do? Like, how are you going to go into your office and talk to your staff team? How are you going to talk to your board of directors? How are you going to deal with this? And then one of our colleagues said, you know what? We need to put this out there publicly. We need to, kind of have this, virtual table and come together and have a real conversation about what's happening in the Black community, unfiltered, and let it be. So that's the whole story behind the name, Text the Table.
Wow. Well, people are listening, I'm telling you. I think I have George from Center City on. George, are you there?
Yes, I am. And how are you doing today?
Lord, George, it's been a day.
The good part is that you have people that come on your show that's not what we call death hustlers, hustling death. And in Philadelphia here, we have a whole lot of death hustlers. They're like really getting pensions and everything you could possibly think of to benefit themselves off of death. And here, they're not really trying to stop it. They hope it increases because then they can always make noise, act like they have a voice, different things go on and on and on. But you just got to be careful what you ask for. We had the Negroes that was at the table asked for a Black police commissioner. Okay, no Pacifics, no nothing. They gave them, and Kenny gave them exactly what they asked for, an unqualified Black woman to run this city of 7,000 police officers, which they know McNesby runs. They're already into a war with McNesby, words for words, fat-mouthing off there's something they can't win. Defunded police. If you defund the police, remember Act 11, that means you defund the fire department. So be careful what you ask for because you get it.
Okay.
And it ain't no such thing as kissing up the cops. It's called common sense. Stop the violence. Whatever it takes to stop it, do it. Stop playing these games with these people. Whoever go to Kenny and ask for money, we can stop this and get that and this and that and the other. One thing I liked about Brian after that, he was a piece of crap, but he would call him out. He gave him a check right in front of everybody in the room. He passed the envelope out, and you'd be surprised how many of them was taking a check. Okay, they don't know what was in it, but I know it was a check in it. Okay. And all they ever worried about, Marina, is that they was worried about themselves personally. You got to worry about the community. You got to worry about people. And, you know, all this other crazy stuff they talking, look at who's talking and looking at how they're benefiting.
Yes.
That's the whole thing.
All right,
if they're
George.
benefiting, they pimping you well.
All right, George. Thank you. Have a good one. Bye-bye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Huzzah! George had something on his mind, boy. It wasn't about, it was not about code switching at all. He was like, sick and tired of all of you.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, I'm going to step out of this time.
Listen. You see, I didn't even engage in the conversation. George is always got something to say about what's going on in the Philadelphia area, you know, and I give him his voice because he and has to have a voice like everybody else. If giving someone else a voice, I'm giving him a voice too.
Absolutely.
Listen, what's the best advice you have for people who would like to become part of the C-suite? Because, you know, it's very difficult to get there. People don't realize the amount of work that you have to do and the amount of sacrifices that you have to make to get into the C-suite, right? What advice do you have for people who would like to get there?
I think for me, it would be finding a mentor. You mentioned this earlier, because if you have someone that can help you figure out how to navigate the complexities of whether it's the corporate environment, the nonprofit environment, or the public sector, you want to make sure that you have someone that's going to look out for your best interest and provide you with honest feedback. Like you said, that young lady pulled her aside. And if you don't have anybody providing you with that guidance, it makes the road that much more difficult.
Right.
So I would say start there with finding a mentor and someone who is going to really be in your corner and help you. Because sometimes all it takes is an introduction. You know, we've heard people say they've had sponsors. You know, this person sponsored me, made the introduction, took me to lunch and introduced me to somebody that I probably wouldn't have crossed paths with otherwise. That's what somebody's going to do for you if they're truly committed to your success.
Agreed. That's a great, thank you. All right.
I was going to echo that, like mentorship and sponsorship is essential. Because it is about the network. And mentors will help you perfect what maybe your weaknesses are. Sponsors will advocate for you in the room when you're not there and get you the room. And I have a quick story on that. There was a executive, Gary LeBranch, who was from the Chicagoland area, CEO, and I had worked with him not even really. I think I was a client with his group for a hot second. Didn't know him that well at all. I had moved away to Seattle. I had my first CEO job, and he had gave my name to a recruiter to be considered for another CEO job. So when the recruiter called me, I'm thinking, oh, this is too big. I'm not even qualified. But I went through and talked to them. They said, yes, Gary recommended you. And I'm like, well, wow, I don't even have Gary's phone number or email to thank him. But wow. Fast forward, I ended up, not getting that job. It was definitely, I wasn't ready for that role. And I just got to my last one. I see Gary in the hallway at an awards event in D.C. And I say, hey, Gary, I said, you gave my name to those recruiters for that position. I said, thank you. He's like, oh, yeah, absolutely. I said, yeah, I wasn't really ready for that role. It was a little bit too far, and I just got here, but thanks. He says, oh, I know. I said, oh, you know? He says, yeah. I said, well, why'd you give them my name? He says, because you're going to be ready one day when they call you. And I need them to know who you are, so that they remember to call you.
So Gary opened the door.
Yes, he opened the door, and it was actually that same recruiter that ended up calling 3-4 years later that got me into this job that I'm in now.
See? This is just, Lord, this is so, This is such good stuff. It really is. Deborah, I can't thank you enough. So I just want you all to know that I met Deborah, just so you know how things go full circle, right? I was on the school board and was made the Pennsylvania delegate for the National School Boards Association, and it was that year in 2012 that I met Deborah. And every door that has opened on my behalf, I've called Deborah. Come on, I need you to be a contributor, because I saw what she was so good at, right? And that was board governance, working with school boards, with superintendents, and it's a conversation we need to keep having across the country, right? And so that's what I'm talking about. When we see the goodness in people and the things that they have to offer, and she's opened doors for me too. You know, so it's that peer stuff. It's the sponsoring each other. Another woman here in Philadelphia, and I'm going to name her, Michelle Lawrence. You know, people don't realize Michelle Lawrence has literally opened up doors and has sponsored me, right? She's helped me to move to another realm. She kept saying, "You're doing this, this, and this. I love what you're doing, but you need a larger audience for people to really hear your voice." So folks haven't begun to see what I'm capable of and where I'm going, because the plans have been put in place, right? But you need people who are going to be your backbone, who you're able to call, who can say to you, "Don't do that. Don't go over there in that corner, and this is why," you know? And so folks need to work their way through, but you have to be willing to be able to open up and receive the feedback that you're getting. We have to get outside of ourselves and be willing to receive the feedback that we get from people who have been in the spaces where we want to go.
You got it.
Absolutely.
Lord, this was...
And the one thing I'll add to that,
yes.
You know, when you do get that mentor or you get that person who is willing to look out for you and open doors for you, make your ask. Because a lot of times I've spoken to other people and they were like, "Well, I'm mentoring so-and-so and I'm not really sure how I can help them."
Yes.
Just say what you want.
Yeah.
Because that's what people are there for. They want to help you. If you want to become a CEO, if you want to become an elected official, if you want to become, you know, a school board member, say to that person, "This is what I want to accomplish. Can you help me get there?"
Yes.
And let them figure out how to connect those dots for you. Yeah. Because if you're not making the ask, okay, it's nice to just kind of, you know, have the relationship, but you want to get something out of that.
Come on. And authentically get something out of it, right? So it shouldn't feel like a one-way street, right? This is good stuff. Is there anything else you all would like to add? I just need to end this show on a high note. You all made my entire day. Thank you very much.
I would just really encourage everybody to listen to Text the Table. Our next episode is September 9th. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, anywhere podcasts are.
Okay.
It's ladies' night, so it's going to be a full panel of women, black women in the executive suite or on the rise.
Yes, September 9th?
Yes.
Okay. And so we can watch it on YouTube, Facebook, wherever?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so Text to Table, TEXTS, the number 2, TABLE. You watch and see how many people watch this thing now. You're going to be calling me going, "What in the Sam Hill?" Yes, Text to Table.
It's Text T-O.
Oh, 2. T-O.
Yeah.
Glad I said it. See there now? Text 2. So it's TEXTSTOTABLE, right?
Yeah.
You got it.
All right, got it. Thank you both so, oh, Lord, you all were just so wonderful. I don't even know what to do with myself. Let me just
end with thanking you and Deborah, and you know, I'll also say, so I'm from your neck of the woods. I'm originally from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So, yeah, but thank you for doing the work that you do for the community, and Deborah for bringing us all together. That's what it's about, making connections, right?
My pleasure.
Thank you all both so much.
You.
So Deborah Keys Wright, Sean Boynes, and Michelle Mills Clement. I can't wait to watch Text to Table. Thank you all so much for being an integral part of the show today. Thank you for educating and enlightening us, and for giving us tips that I'm sure some of us didn't know. Okay?
All righty.
All right. Have a good one. We'll talk soon.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
We are at the end of another show. I need to get to the place like, what did you all learn today? At the end of every show, I need you all to put in your Facebook page, on the Facebook, the WURD radio. What did you learn from Mother today? What did you learn from the guest today? What stuck out for you the most on the show today? I mean, there was so much going on. I really want to get to the news, the daily news, but every day I can't get to it because I have such a plethora of good guests. And it's not just people complaining or talking about what's happening locally, but it's really elevating you into the places where you want to go with your lives, right? Beyond just saying, I want to start a business. You got some great advice today around that. It was just wonderful. Thank you, Malcolm. Thank you so much. Thank you. Malcolm says it's another great show. Today I'm going to leave you with this. There are people who are going to never, ever agree with anything that you say. They will disagree just on principle. They'll disagree on how you look. They'll disagree on how you sound, disagree on what you wear. Just disagree to be disagreeable. Stop giving your energy to those people, right? As long as you're making sure that you're living your life in a way that is empathetic and kind, and that you're doing what you need to do to move forward in life, and that it's not just about you, then stop giving your energy to folks who are not deserving of it. Walk in love, thank them for the part that they played in your journey, and move on, right? When we stay stuck in what other people think and feel, then it holds us, it's like morass. It's holding us like molasses at our feet. Stop giving people energy that they're not deserving of. Look at where you can make a difference in this life. Stop looking at other people's peripheral and what they're doing and how they're doing it. Look at what you're doing. Look at the emphasis and the impact that you want to make, and then go about doing it. Find a good mentor. Find a good sponsor, someone who can sponsor you, who will give you great advice, take you to lunch, open doors, and introduce you to people. And most of all, be authentic in a way that you give back as much as you receive. Stop taking and sucking from folks and not giving back in return, okay? Coming up next is Sincerely Sarita with Happy Hour. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.
Your daughter got her learner's permit, so you're getting her favorites at McDonald's to celebrate. And you let her drive. Now, if you could just make it to the drive-thru. Enjoying the journey together? That's something to value. Make a quick breakfast stop at McDonald's, where a tasty Chicken McGriddles and McChicken Biscuit are just $2 each. Prices and participation may vary, cannot be combined with combo meal.
Pico has many ways to help you lower your energy usage and save money at home. Here's one. Have an old working fridge or freezer in your garage or basement? Pico will pick it up, dispose of it responsibly, and give you a $75 rebate. That's right, $75. Plus, you can save as much as $150 a year on your energy bill by getting rid of it. Just schedule your pickup at pico.com/recycling or call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE today. Be sure your fridge or freezer is plugged in and working at time of pickup.